nobody's going to drop, and then we're going to be left scratching our heads even more and going, why is nobody in one of these cities? And yeah, but I hope that it's occupied and that we were able to see that kind of that test come through for them and how they use that position to their advantage. We highlighted yesterday as well why those kind of compounds are so effective in the game and why they can be so important, because most circles tend to essentially occupy the center of the map for the most part. And outside of game one, I think yesterday's circles were for the most part pretty solid. A couple of ping pongs here or there. But that's still something that teams should be considering coming into these games.
Vă pupă, salutare la toată lumea, hai să vedem ce se întâmplă astăzi pe ce loc ajungem și ce trebuie să facem mâine. Vă pup, vă iubesc. Să-mi dați un like și un share.
Pretty standard, like it did hard shift here and there. Just the very first game, we had a wild circle. We saw like 7 teams all edging onto one side, and that crazy hectic first game, I think, could really throw teams off for the rest of the day. So I'm hoping today, the very first game, I want a little bit of chaos, like maybe like a military island, but nothing like kind of weird, you know? Like yesterday's first circle was weird. It was like on land, but 50% of it was like water. So yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely not looking forward. A crazy one like a military island wouldn't be a bad idea. Of course, the Pmco EUS 2021 Fall Split is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors over at Xiaomi. You yourself
că nu jucăm azi, că nu e grupa noastră. Azi joacă CEU cu D1, noi am jucat AU cu BU. Ola, state, Ola, te pup, toată lumea vă pup. Iuliana, bună. Găbița, bună. Cox, Robert, toată lumea, băi. Să dați un like și un share, că mă ajută mult, da?
Pachinki, is anyone going to occupy it? We've talked about and we've kind of stroked the egos of some of these teams.
Vedem pe ce fac astăzi echipele, pe ce loc coborâm și ce trebuie să facem mâine, că trebuie să urcăm. Haide! Că prima zi a fost mai greuță așa un pic. Dacă jucam și noi în a doua era mai bine.
Yeah, the underdogs of Pmco, you can never count them out. But we'll see. We're going to be heading into the game and onto the plane.
Gabriel,
where these 16 teams from Group C and D will be battling it out.
Ionuț, te pup, toată lumea vă pup. De aia, na, pulata, haide bă că a început primul meci, să vedem pe băieții ăștia cum joacă din grupa C cu D.
Phase 1 seems to be going from roughly the northeast.
Nu, pe 9 am terminat.
Down to the kind of southwest, more the western side of the map. So, at least for the time being, this plane path, it's not the prettiest.
Yeah, this plane path is
TNB-ul ăia, băi, e curios de ei, maxim rău de tot. Hello, Adrian, hello, noroc, vă pup, salut.
Hopefully it's not invisible for the players. Can you imagine if you couldn't see the plane path when you're jumping out of the...
Fiind prima zi, emoții și toate alea și zona dată la mama dracului, am jucat bine ieri, ce-ai? Ultimul meci, dacă nu veneau atâtea echipe pe noi din spate, făceam mai bine, eram pe locul 4 acum sau 5.
They might be both dropping for a stall.
Vă pup pe toți, vezi. Dacă făceam și ultimul meci cât de cât bine, care-s România? E4 RB-ul, S4S-ul, S4S-ul, Night Target-ul.
Pachinki, or maybe it's two teams taking Pachinki, and we might just have a hot drop fight.
Be.
Yeah, I'm just.
Four Romanian boys, they're going for.
Mai se ia Florin Sera și cu ea, dar nu știu ce echipă au, că nu văd nimic. Angela, te pup, toată lumea.
We do have a team in Pachinki.
Okay, so this team is a team I have my eyes on. I want to see if they take advantage of the Pachinki position, right? The fast rotation out of there. One team that I know takes Pachinki from North America is Ghost Gaming, and they have very strict timings on their rotations. The second the clock hits a certain time within the first circle, everybody stops what they're doing, they get in the car, and they make their first rotation. So let's see if this team does the same. As far as hot drops go, though, it looks like nobody is going to be dropping on each other. Everybody's finding their own place to loot and their own... Yeah, they're finding their own vehicles. We see a team even going down. Oh, the Noisy Boys heading down towards a military base.
Yeah, they always.
Salut, Gabriel, salut tuturor lumea.
At least in games that I've watched them recently, they've always dropped in Military Island, despite the plane
Salut,
path
Matei,
to
te pup.
end up going
Uitați de
there.
un like, mă ajută mult, da?
Eventually, Deuce are heading to Pubg, which makes sense.
Bă, ce caută acolo pe spoturile mele, mă? Lorena, te pup. Castelano, toată lumea. Facem 100, facem.
Also interested in how they're going to perform in this
Trebuie să fim
PMPL.
atenți.
They have aimbot, formerly of Nexus Romania,
4
who played in
rebeu.
the PMPL as well as Wild Alone.
S4S-ul, Alubeso, La Familia, nu, LF-ul, Last Fight și Night Target.
And to be fair, Zute, despite a bit of an awkward playing path, the phase on circle
Azi cine sparge tot TNB-ul. Voi ne jucăm mâine și eu, voi. E ok, baby, de început, da.
Very standard circle.
Sunt curios de TNB-ul ce face, că ea sunt favoriții.
There's barely any body of water in this circle. Yesterday we saw a circle on a very typical spot, but they just kept keeping the water in, which made for a very hectic game. This first game should be that easy game, so to say, for all these players. They should be comfortable and familiar with all the positions, and no matter how the circle hard shifts, I mean, it's PUBG Mobile. You deal with hardships all day, every day. It shouldn't even come as a surprise at this point.
Da, nu le știu, vrei să te minți, să moară baby, dacă știu echipele.
I'm a little bit kind of curious about your thoughts on
ai joc la Pmco și nu știu echipele, vezi, te minceai. Da, mă, da, știu că e greu. E greu, sunt echipe foarte bune acum. Vedem ce se întâmplă. Nu, TNB-ul nu sunt români.
Sometimes like they're using as an excuse. Do you think some players do that too much and they're like, well, it's a game, you should know by now, you have to be able to adapt?
Eu joc la echipele românești. Joacă cu LF-ul, Bazi?
I don't want to knock them down on that one.
Ce joacă cu LF? Nu joc cu nimeni, mai am echipă.
Their attitude afterwards, right? If they feel like, you know, oh, hard shift, and then it's like they don't discuss it afterwards, they don't discuss some sort of strategy, what they could have done different, then that is bad, right?
Okay.
But I think it's fair enough to complain about the hard shifts, because, I mean, as a competitor myself, when you see that hard shift happen late game, completely opposite.
Uite-l pe Beso, pe bătrânul Beso aici, că îi cunosc hainele de la 1 kilometru.
Like, it's not fun. It is not fun.
That's fair enough.
Nu mai este Barobi.
Shoot for a skill. I was talking to one of their players yesterday on a Discord, and he was giving me talking to
Rezeule, te înjur de me fac de asta și dau și bani fătute în gură.
IGN now, but he was telling me the name of his IGN, and it's really interesting. Need to try and bring it up, but shout out to him, and I know him and a couple of his teammates who have PMCO experience, not quite PMPL, but definitely PMCO experience that they're going to look to draw on board as they are going to exit from the crates of George Pool fairly swiftly. Phase 1 already starting to move in. Man, this game feels kind of fast, Sute. We're 6 minutes in already.
Eu am jucat ieri.
The rotations are happening out right now on the screen. Speaking of shoutouts to certain players, there's one player that comes to my mind. That'd be Agon from the Noisy Boys. Now, before
nu știu viața mea, nu mă interesează Red Bull.
Agon, I've been following this guy on Twitter for quite a while. I think he's dabbled in the... Maybe he has...
pe trage, mă, ieri a fost prima zi, emoții, pula ta, n-ai, a jucat bine rău ieri, mă, nu-i problema. L-a comandat zonele la mama dracului, băgă mici pula în ele zone.
I'm unfollowing him on Twitter, so...
Bună ziua, anonim.
Good luck.
The pressure is on. Jesus, man! Imagine being unfollowed by Zute. Like, I would question my whole life if you unfollow me.
TNB-ul, ia uite mă cațișcorul tău, că de ăștia tremură toate echipele de la Pmco de echipa asta. Bro, extend, te pup, bună ziua, anonim, mă pup, Dragoș, toată lumea, Ricuto.
We mentioned it yesterday
no, e delay de 15 minute.
You know, when you're able to just, you know, cheer on that player.
Toate echipele de la Pmco fug de băieții, ce vrei să te min?
Good luck, or even just a fun little.
E de zi. Poate avem noroc că mâine. Doamne ajut.
It is, I think, a really positive way of just getting behind a player and a team. I'm not saying the Noisy Boys need it. They shouldn't need it within reason because of the experience as them as a players. But the mentality can definitely help.
Ines.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all in good fun, right? That's why we're all here, to the viewers watching.
Exactly.
Us, the casters, the players competing. At the end of the day, like, this game is here for us to enjoy and have fun. So if I can't
Education pe spate frumos.
E de la people, you know, like in good gestures,
e de la Netflix, mă, merge la așa, nu mai schimb că n-am chef. Auzi de la Sex Education, făcut în aripă.
Into the second circle here very soon. It looks like all the teams on the
TNB, Navi de buget, ce prostie ala. Hai că Navi de buget, taci băi că joacă bine toată lumea. Da, e și S4 este echipa lui BS.
And where is that Pechinki team? Mega Power, I believe. Did they take advantage of that fast rotation position? We'll see very quickly when the second circle pops up here.
Dar și-a pus ANML-ul, da? Ba nu, așa-l cheamă pe la ANML. Da, pe asta zic și eu. TNB e echipă de PMPL cu experiență. Toate echipele fug de ei. Să nu uitați de un like. S-a venit aici Bulanghi, fute-mă și pe ei.
New names are in Rozhok. So we have TSC in pajamas as well, also close by and around that Rozhok school area. See right now, 4 teams in the center of this phase 1. It's not bad, but definitely all rejection are the team that I worry about most in that bunch.
Yeah, I like this, the way teams are positioned. You see teams that have a central strategy dead in the center, and then you see the teams that want to prioritize more on an edge strategy and more center focused later on, and everyone else is just far from the center. You don't see any teams kind of floating about in the halfway point. So it looks like everybody in this lobby has a solid game plan in terms of where we want to be on the first circle, where we want to be on the second circle, and that second circle shift a little bit more towards the east. Pretty standard here. I believe Golden Sport and the Noisy Boys might have both rotating out from the military base bridge area, but no casualties just as of yet. But from what we saw yesterday, the first casualty almost always happen on the second circle.
Mulți rău, rămân mulți, foarte mulți rămân în ultimele zone. Eu face parte.
As I say that,
Sosa.
the first knock comes out. AR Sosa gets knocked in the kill feed.
Golden-ul.
And that's why he's a little bit worried about all rejections pulled in school, because that was never always going to be like kind of centering in school. We'll see Respect and pushing back one of the members of 4 Romanian boys. This team from Spain roar with us. Massive love to the Respect boys. But I thought it was great because I knew with this phase 2 shift that if they were able to get ahead of 2 or 3 teams around them, that there's a higher chance they were going to be able to catch a few players out, pick up a kill or 2, and that's what they've done. Nice play by Papi.
Zona asta e ușor de intrat și următoarea, dar după aia poți să-ți bagi pula. Foarte greu. Te pupă în iață. Primele 2 zone sau 3 e așa, nu, primele 2 zone nu e greu. Dar după aia bagă-ți pula în viață. Hai și a 3-a, noi să zicem, dar a 4-a deja, de la 4-a încolo îți bagi pula în ea viață. S4 este aici?
I like the mechanics out of these players coming out on the screen right now.
And for all that I talked about with 4 Romanian boys and what they've looked to gain experience-wise in scrims from what Redox said, to me that was a bit of a sign of inexperience in a more competitive lobby from a rotational standpoint. When you have that phase 1 that kind of complements the playing path, and then phase 2 shifts on towards the northeast direction, common sense tells you that there's a really high chance that 2 or 3 teams are going to be between in front of you and beside you and around you, essentially. So your rotation really needs to be either super duper crisp or a little bit off to the side so that you don't get punished. And I can't help but feel that the 4 Romanian boys were all rotating together, which I don't believe they were. There would have been a much higher chance that Papi wouldn't have been able to catch one of them off.
Right. I mean, it's like I said, it's the first circle going into the second circle. You don't expect teams to just be set up to shoot rotators.
Dacă o
That's why you see so many teams just rotating.
Și Rexul, da, știu.
Usually just rotating, you know, first, second circle. But we see some teams have a different strategy. And one thing I want to point out about Mega Power, right? The Pecado team. Oh, that hard shift though. I guess
Uai, de pula mea, unde e la familia și NT-ul. Uai, leu, TNB, uite cât de bine. Acolo merg Bulangia, fute-mă și pe ei. Unde 4DB-ul e sus la case acolo, este bine și ei, mamă, bine au prins băieții acolo. Acum, ce uite cât de tare o trage și a treia zonă cu aia. TNB-ul ăia sunt forță, mă, de Inslo bot să-i mânce. Last fight e al FU, da.
Let me tell you, I've maybe in a tricycle.
Și NT-ul trebuie, mamă, ce departe sunt și săracii.
Don't be hating on the tricycle, man. It's a vehicle. It will get you there. It's a little bit more dangerous.
It's so bad.
Hashtag tricycle power, you know?
Vezi aici, au zona, au gaura.
Right there, that's terrible. That's terrible. I'm a little bit disappointed. Man, feel sad. No, I agree with you overall, though. It is something to consider. The amount of vehicles and what vehicles you do have definitely doesn't have an impact on how well you can rotate into this game. Luckily, with the circle, they didn't have to. Whereas the gangsters
NB-ul, dai mă, vă boss, că sunt prea buni, mă. Nu că să dai bați, mă, să băgăm nici pula în ei, dar noi batem noi.
Edge of circle to hover in
Prima zi a fost grea, dar de acum încolo e... De acum încolo noi nu mai avem emoții, de ei o să aibă emoții, mai ales aia care n-au puncte, ăia o să aibă emoții maxime. Că le e frică să mai pierdă vreun meci. Ăia care au puncte, ăia se riscă, ca să știți. Noi trebuie să facem mâine peste 35 de puncte.
After only one casualty.
Batem o dată și de 6 ori. Cartel de pup.
Teams are looking to potentially push each other now for
That's
these positions. The Gangster X with one team encroaching really close upon them. They're stopping short to take some covering fire for this push. I love the slow play here. They're clearing the angles out and look at this. The grenade. I don't know. Mad Kill is
no.
But the third party coming through. And we have a three-way fight here right
now. No.
Yeah, and last
la dă finish-ul direct, eu la te pup. Nu mai are șanse ăla.
Earlier rotation a little bit by this either Night Target, who they got close to, so they headed in this more of a direction. But focusing onto the Gangsters X in this situation, without really scouting the compound down the hill, allowed them to get one player knocked. A decent bit of utility with the smokes being pulled out to try and pull off a revive, but of course, that's allowed the Gangsters X to reposition themselves into a bit of a safer spot, using the sniper tower. They dip down the side of the road to put themselves into a bit more of an advantageous position.
Beso, hai că...
we get another
Beso, pasă sus muntele.
Completely blesses the two teams you're watching on the screen. They're on the edge.
Hai ca un noroc de zonă, bă, câțiva rămân, două echipe de rămâne pe acolo sus, dar nu prea...
But they're pretty much right next to each other. And I'd have to give the advantage to TG here. They have a chance to open up with a grenade, and they have the spread to press in.
Mamă, toți dau un shake. Periculos.
Can't help but feel the last fight
just need to really
push it and, you know, take a little bit of motivation from Seven Sins and go for a crash, because with the circle heading in their direction, that's technically a bad thing, because more teams are possibly going to be looking towards them. Now, we gave a lot of hype to the Noisy Boys, and it's for a very good reason. They get their first 4 kills. They get the first squad wipe of Pmco group stages for this group D together.
De acum începe distracția maximă.
Yeah, first 4 kills, I believe, all done with utility. Their grenade
The Noisy Boys au deja 4 puncte, mă, dar cu cine s-a bătut ăia, mă, TNB-ul, mă, deja au 4 puncte, băi, ești prost. Te pun, mofcule. Mamă, ce e aici?
On the edge of the circle, not even in the circle yet, and they're caught on
deja începe scandalul.
We have Deuce and Defeaters right here taking shots at one another, and that's even outside of the circle. Once they move into the circle, they got more teams to contest.
Sorry for skill, they need to be a little bit careful, because on one hand they have that kind of side of the roadside
dați un like, mă ajută mult, forță.
But there's another team around them that is close by, ready to take advantage
Aia
of
să-mi
the
prins la
nice
mijloc.
play by last fight as well. You have Duos getting a couple of knocks on board. That is, man, new names.
Sunt echipe forță. Față de rândul trecut, păi sunt forțe echipele aici. Ești nebun la cap. Rândul trecut a fost ușor și top 4. Nu a fost așa greu. Față de acum. Acum numai locul 1 trece. I-a auzit. Hai Beso, ăsta, haide bă, aici, bam, ia spart, ia spart! Bravo. Încă unul, încă unul! Încă unul acolo, încă unul, încă unul! Bine. Ia vezi pe aia care sunt groapă și vă văd, Beso.
4 teams on the edge of this circle here, and none
of
them want to give their position up. Sorry for Skill looking in a better position than the rest, as they have that ridge to work with, where they could just.
Meciul ăsta e foarte greu, vă zic eu, e foarte greu. Toate echipele sunt bine pregătite.
Great third-party opportunity from Shoot for Skill. That's the advantage of holding onto that ridge side. And I think because Night Tiger have a lack of players themselves, they're not really able to punish Shoot for Skill. So a lot more focus is able to be played out. Deuce Gaming, they go down in their game 1. Bye-bye Chills. We're down to 14 teams, 48 players. As Night Tiger might be the focus for Shoot for Skill now as we're getting close to this next circle.
This next circle shift will be deadly for so many teams, and it's.
Bă, dacă noroc au ăia, băi, coaie de morților după ce că sunt buni. Că mă enervez, băgăm nici pula rața lor ce iubești ei, TNB, uite zona unde a tras coaie, toate în afara zonei și numai ei sunt în zonă, mă. Bă, dar numai ei, bă, dacă noroc să aibă, bă, oamenii ăia, bă, băgăm nici pula rața lor. Uai, ce maxim îmi dau băieții ăia, bă.
I kid you not, Zute.
Mă, dacă noroc să aibă, mă, ăia, mă, de aici, bă, boss. Până duminică în sine. Mă, dă-i mă, ce dracu, mă, paie.
They couldn't have asked for a better answer as the circle has shifted in their direction. They're gonna have every team looking towards them from the top of the hill down below, but it's not going to be easy for them. Dab, they're on 3 kills so far. They have 1 player
și pe ca zona, bă.
On the side of Mega Power. They're going to look to send.
Nu vă dați seama ce emoții sunt acolo, băi, nu vă dați seama, nu vă închipuiți. Deja au început să facă kill-uri, 30 de kill-uri meciul ăsta și hai.
Shout out to Mega Power for making it this far into the game with just tricycles.
Se bat grav acum, să auziți numai ce e.
Golden Sport taking shots at teams rotating by while getting shot at by teams that have already rotated in. It's the all-out chaos I was talking about. Fighting downhill. When the circle shifts downhill, you see this chaos. You see it on the screen. Everybody's moving into the low ground, giving open sightlines to everyone across the map. 360 around. Yeah. And it is crazy how all this grenade Imperium, that could be huge. But they don't know he's there. They have no idea he's there.
Oh my god, Broody boy, Salazar!
Băi, nu cred.
Open your eyes, Pappy, should I say? Not gonna be called out. Bardo's down, Salazar's there, providing a little bit of cover. Great play though by Rexpect for the most part, despite not being able to see that player.
Stau bine sus pe high ground pe aia 4 RB-ul. Au prins bine zona și pe ei. Aproape.
It's gonna be that 1v1. Sam cooking up a nade. Pappy, you gotta be aware that nade is heading in your direction on the underside of the tree. It's a little bit overcooked. You hate to see it.
A little bit overcooked. Pappy also throwing some grenades back. It's a grenade off right now.
Whoa,
who's got the better throwing arm? And Pappy hits the Kobe,
Golden Sport eliminată.
2-pointer, or should I say 1 point per kill.
Au fight acolo, că le bagă niște nocuri acolo la smoke. Dar TNB-ul facă ea la kill-uri de acolo, mă, dă instant boss, bă, că noroc au băieții aia, mă. Hai că mai aveți. Dar o să meargă după ei sus TNB-ul, o să meargă sus după 4 RB, fiți atenți să vedeți.
The good thing is that they can focus
Stau bine
on
zona,
the
uite ce zona a dat pe ei, pe 4RB și nu-i contestă nimic. S-a dus pe ei, Mozarov, fii atent. V-am zis că merge pe ei, ia uitați, deja toți 4 s-au dus pe ei. I-a dat deja nog la Poco, s-au dus băieți.
That could be good, maybe a revive on the whiskey to keep them up as a duo. But 10 seconds until the blue zone starts closing in, I gotta wonder, is that revive worth it?
10 seconds.
Nu, că s-a dus pe ei. V-am zis că se duc ea să le poziția, uitați direct în ei, s-a băgat la un ochi și acum o să bată, o să vedeți.
I think it's worth it. You never know what an extra teammate might do, but here it comes. The rotations are out, the new circles are ready here. We haven't even got a chance to catch our breath.
Nu, dar n-are rost. Bine, vezi că merge bine spate. 2 knock,
Sorry for skill losing 2 players right off the bat right there.
TNB. The Noisy Boys are bine. Bine, i-a scos băieții din 4RB pe Noisy Boys.
We're able to take them out. They may be PMPL level, but they're going up against some inexperienced folks.
Mamă, i-a spart pe ea, să moară familia mea, vrei să te mint? Bine rău. Vezi, asta e la fraieri. La ea de la TNB, că se riscă mult. Da, dar nu.
One player left up 16.
A dat ăla de a jucat în aer, băieți, așa, bravo lor. Bine rău. Au și zona aproape, poate emocilor. Mai sunt 2.
Rexback with a nice position, kind of off by themselves on the side. We have a different level of play here. We have the high ground right now on the hills by Rex and 4 Romanian boys, and then you have the low ground teams. Defeaters did manage to make their way in. He got that revive, but ended up losing that player still.
Bine rău, băieți, bravo, acolo merită. Dă-i pula mea să jugă.
With 2. It's a 3v2, v2v1 situation here. And I think all the teams have positioned themselves within the circle, and it just comes down to the next shift.
2, 2, 1, 3.
Rexspect needs to get rid of MDC. If they don't, because MDC have that little bit of a dip, Rexspect could get third partied. Now Poppy, he has an idea that Redox is there. Shots being hidden in his direction. Nice spray from Poppy. Goes instantly back down.
Pappy with the nades and with the aim. The next circle comes through. It does shift to the north. So for Romanian, they might be able to get that revive. Rex has to push in. They just got a knock on top of the hillside.
TNB-ul joacă cel mai bine, doar că sunt prea agresivi, frate. Apucă-se de revive.
As the zone did shift out that way too. It does look like they are going to focus on the high ground. Pressing in with their bullets and soon
trebuie să-i preseze acum.
With their vehicles. You see
Pappy already
rotating in onto the offing. I love that play. He rotated to the position that he saw the other player leave, so he knows it's clear, and now he's going to take advantage of that.
Iar de ăștia de jos. Ba nu, l-a salvat pe ăștia.
MDC, they get rid of defeater. Still a good kind of snaking end moment for Whiskey, and that's gonna leave them in 4th place. 10 points for this game 1. 4 Romanian boys. Redox not having any time to really heal.
Bine, nu mă calific mă oricum ce ai. Uite ce zonă au băieții, mă, ce bine s-au. Am jucat ieri cu aia, dar a fost rău de tot. Ne-a dat zonele alea, tot la ciocanul meu le-a dat.
They've avoided them for the time being. Now together, they stand as phase 7 blue zone closes in. These are 3 teams left standing. Wix has the third person perspective, the advantage on the Nate goes out. Salazar is going to push in. It's going to be a 1v1 jump shot. The knock comes in at the hands of Wix. He's going to stand up. He's going to get 1, 2 units low. Tappy is left in his own. He's going to get wiped out. Redox with 9 kills alone. 12
Bă, ce-a făcut băiatul ăsta, bă, bravo, bă.
Been practicing in scrims against the top teams in Europe, and it's shown right now.
Cred că e meciul lor.
I'll tell you what, when you practice against top teams in Europe, your gun skill better be on point, and Redox showed that just now. 9 kills already, and he got that last one with a DP hipfire. DP is not the nicest gun to hipfire with, but now we're back down to a 2v2. I was surprised MDC didn't take advantage of that knock that came out in the kill feed. They could have had a chance to 2v1 that. but now it is a 2v2 for Romanian boys looking strong on the high ground. They are able to TPP peek over that top of the ridge. Next circle comes out. I don't think either team really has the circle in their favor. Both teams have to scooch in just a little bit closer to each other, and they are now 1-1 split off from one another to get as many angles as possible as we come down into this last
aia de joc nu știu ce a făcut mâncați și plata, că se băteau ăștia și era nu știu. În fine, fiecare joacă cum
see where coming from on MDC taking advantage. One reason I can think of why they didn't is because in the moment they know they have the lower part of the hillside. They have a little bit more of an advantage as for Romanian boys. Their body is going to be exposed more heavily. Wix chucks a nade. It's a little bit of a blind nade, hoping that it would connect. It doesn't. Interestingly enough, Redux is in the vehicle. Phase AP zone is closing in, and time is ticking until we get to the final moments and see who wins this game one of the day. Wix could definitely have sightlines on Flow. He's going to stand up, takes a couple of shots, goes back down. The snaking play from Sway is important, it's impressive, but like I said, Wix's body is a little bit more exposed compared to the two players from NDC.
Bine rău zona pe ea, a dat-o perfect.
Push a little bit more in the sidelines to get a little bit of control down the bottom of the hill, but that is a beautiful nade into direction of Flow. Nearly gets knocked, not quite. Leaves him with about 30% health. That's a nice offensive smoke by Flow, by the way, but another one connects. That's one down, one to go. That's going to be the push. Wix is going to get knocked down. Maybe just a little bit too preemptive from Wix. Redux didn't stand up at the same time.
Mamă, pe buzunare a pus-o băiatul ăla, bravo. Bravo, merită. Bine rău, grenadele. Da, mâine noi avem. Bine rău și zonă și tot, să mor eu. Mamă, bine rău pe băieți. Perfect a dat-o.
Wow, okay. I told Agon.
Bine rău, băieți, merită GG. Mai ales batul la Redox dintre toți a fost fenomenal, să vreți să te minți ai. A jucat bine băiatul ăla, chiar a jucat bine rău.
That was mental to watch. That was crazy.
Man. Da, aia am vrut să zic eu care patul făcut.
That was wild, and like this for Romanian boys side, like they slayed giants in this lobby. PMPL player here, PMPL player there. You know,
nu că nu poți să filmezi. Numai dacă iei de la ei, restul nu poți să filmezi canal.
Another victim in their onslaught to really make a name for themselves.
Din toate grupele merg doar 15 echipe. Nu e greu.
A chance to compete in the PMPL, but to be the best Romanian team in PMCO and the PMPL. Well, after this game one, they're certainly making that name for themselves. And just to give a little bit of context, the top kill leader from yesterday's 4 games is on, I believe, 11 kills. Redux is on 10.
Facem 200 imediat.
Game. Like, that's just like setting yourself up to be the.
Și nici nu i-a mutat mult zona. Unde s-au dus prima oară de-au pierdut un om, numai 10 metri s-au mutat în jos și au avut zona rău. Au jucat bine rău băieții.
Speechless on that performance from 4 Romanian boys.
It's the same here. Those grenades were so accurate. He can also clutch it up in the close range fight.
Când o să meargă și mie bine, dacă nu merge bine, ce vrei să fac? Să trag de mine mai tare? Nu merge.
Clutched it up multiple times. We didn't see the fight between 4 Romanian boys and the Noisy boys.
Prima zi e grea, a doua, a treia, a patra, a cincea, a șasea e ușoară, nu e așa grea. Prima zi e cea mai grea.
For 4 Romanian boys either. So this team, wow, it's just one game, but the level of play is already beyond what I saw, I think, from.
Am avut, dar noi am luat fight-uri mari acolo. Chinezii ăia sunt buni, iar Q-Lee nu ăia, Q-Lee ăia. Mamă, cum joacă băieța și ăia. 29 de puncte, bine.
Still pull off that kind of performance as a 3-man team for the majority of the game. That is really impressive.
Hai că numai 4 echipe au făcut puncte.
But you have to recognize it with 14 kills
Are
11
un
for
icon în
one
spate în
player
perim. Da, e nebun.
and 29 in total for this game one. Man,
Ne-a
four
alint
Romanian boys.
top-ul ăia.
Just call them four Romanian men.
TNB-ul, sunt toate echipele sunt bune, e greu. Mai ales dacă te pușează ăia toți odată, poți să-ți bagi pula în viață.
How does one player get 11 out of the 14 kills on a team? I mean, they did lose a player early. I even forgot about that. But yeah, they started the game pretty much as a 3-man, and they still clutched it out. And they won the chicken dinner with an insane amount of kills. 4 remaining boys, 29 points. But let's not forget about the other teams that still perform pretty well, to be honest. Second place coming in, MDC, KS, 19. Following that, Rex with 17. Defeaters at 10. Noisy Boys, only 1 placement points, but they optimized it with the kill points, so a total of 9 points. So not too bad for these other teams. 4 Romanian boys, though, just kind of stole the show from everyone.
They did steal the show. I couldn't have said that better myself. But I'm glad you highlighted MDC, KS, Albanian team, and Respect. I think they did a fantastic job of at least trying to push in. It was just Wix and Redox that got the better of them. But moving on to the second page, the teams that really didn't have that good of a first game. 2 teams with 0 points, all Rejection Gaming and TSC in pajamas. Hopefully they can stop that trend from continuing. And I suppose the 2 teams I'm a little bit kind of surprised that they got a lack of points would be both Night Target and Deuce Gaming.
Yeah, I think that has to do with the fact that
n-am văzut că nu am ăla, acum mă uit pe grup.
C and D, there's a bigger skill gap. Like the stronger teams are stronger than what we saw the previous day, and you have more teams in here that might be weaker or more inexperienced. So the point disparity shows that, of course, it's only been 1 game.
Nu, merg în finală și după PMP-ul doar locul 1.
Off of 1 game.
I know,
we'll see with the rest of the we'll see how the rest of the games go, and we'll have a way more accurate view on what these two groups have to bring to the table.
Yeah, you got a match for Romanian boys, the rest of the lobby in this game too. We're going to head for a break. We won't be long, and we'll be back on your screens for game 2 of the day.
Nigga. Mamă, și cât așteptăm acum? 2 minute, hai că nu-i mult. Noi am avut ghinion 3 meciuri, că ne-a dat hard shift-uri și ultimul meciuri ne-am bătut cu toată lumea ca fraierii. În loc să ne regrupăm, ne-am debarasat 2 cu 2. Să te califici. Ieri am ieșit pe 9. Cu ghinionul ăla. Dacă ajungi în finală, primești. Păi nu știu viața mea, fă-ți o echipă, eu știu. Să uitați un like. Păi n-am fost top 5 când am avut noroc, chiar mă nebunule, da. Revin și eu într-un minut.
Welcome back, and what a way to kick off Group C in these first 4 games. 1 game down and 4 remaining boys setting the bar of what is to come for the remaining 3 days. 29 points.
Jumate ajung în finală, mă, nu e așa greuț.
Even I'm a little bit, yeah, again, I'm still just
în finale e greu, aici nu e chiar așa.
That performance was from them.
Yeah, that one player that got the 11 kills, there's a good chance. So the team had a total of 14 kills. One player had 11. There's a good chance he might have 1v4'd or picked up a 4-piece onto the Noisy Boys. Because right before we saw the Noisy Boys go out, they were fighting the 4 Romanian boys. And yeah, I want to see, hopefully this player, he posts on Twitter, he posts on Instagram, I want to see just a montage of that game number 1. 11 kills in 1 game. Players struggled, like you said, to get 11 kills over the course of 4 games. The top fragger from yesterday maybe only had 11 kills after 4 games were done and played.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Rămâne de văzut, băi, se pot întâmpla multe, poți să pierzi oricând, poți să mori oricând, poți să nu mai faci niciun punct, poți să... toate prostiile, ați înțeles? Nu e chiar așa, dacă...
That's crazy. And I thought that was a great rotation from the Noisy Boys. It made sense to head in that direction because it was free from getting third party. They just,
I agree.
You know, they just got taken out so quickly in that regard. But again, just to kind of highlight, I think CREWCHALLENGE played a really good controlling game on towards the side and top of that hill, because the way they reacted to 4 Romanian boys' kind of opening. And instead of pushing
mai până duminică se joacă, mai e mult rău de tot.
Reaction, the way they took down individual players and got it.
Mai e cale lungă, băi, nu chiar așa.
It's a great start for them in this Pmco.
Yeah, the decision making was there, the execution just fell short, and I'm really happy to see a lot of those things in Pmco. Teams are making the right decisions, so they're essentially practicing and executing the correct things. Now they just gotta brush up on the actual execution. Same with the Noisy Boys, right?
Nu știu, Cristian, de
push
ce?
up the hill against 4 Romanian boys worked out. They're the team in the position to win the game. So it was spot on. Same with Respect, like you said.
Eu zic că ne calificăm toate echipele românești.
And they won that fight. They win the game just as well.
Vladise, toate echipele românești. După părerea mea, eu zic că toate. 4DB-ul, noi, S4S-ul, Night Target-ul, LF-ul, QR-ul, iar Conqueror-ul, pe ăsta, Fast-ul.
It all comes down to those micro moments there.
Yeah, and that's where MDC will learn from that in future games and future days, and more importantly, when they look back on the VOD. And I love the fact that you pointed out the second that fight ended with respect and 4 Romanian boys, you were there going, I don't know why MDC didn't look to take advantage of that.
Degeaba vorbim că nu știm ce se întâmplă. Mai sunt multe meciuri. Poți să joci 8 meciuri să faci 10 puncte.
Have Whiskey, PMPL players, a decent start for them. 10 points. We know that the kind of top 5, top 6 from the first 4 games yesterday have 10 plus points per game. As we head into, of course, the wonderful world of Sandhawk.
Nu se știe, frate. Nu se știe. Poți să nu faci niciun punct. Poți să faci un punct toate meciurile. Dacă ai ghinion. Rămâne de văzut. Nu ne putem da cu părerile acum cine se califică sau cine nu.
It doesn't even matter if they don't get the chicken dinner here. They're going to walk away with a huge amount of points. Mega Power, the team that claimed the center of the map on that last game. I want to see if they drop Boot Camp. Curious to see. And honestly, I think Mega Power would have done much better if it wasn't for those 2 tricycles, Imperial. I'm telling you, the tricycles are not fun when it comes to competitive gameplay.
As far as you know, they're not in Sandhawk, so they should be okay. I don't think so. Maybe they are a little bit. Okay. We'll have to wait and see. But look,
e greu, prota, dacă ai zona, e forță, dacă nu ai, e bine. Și dacă ai zona și să nu te bați cu multe echipe, aia e bine.
Specifically, and beg for mercy. Between Unicorns Love and Destiny in the last split of PMPL,
9 echipe joacă de la noi.
Strong on Sandhawk. So there is that recipe for them to succeed in this game.
Okay. Well, I mean, Sandhawk, anything could happen in Sandhawk, right, Imperial? I mean, we just gotta wait and see when the match actually starts.
Yeah, for sure. And the Pmco EU West is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors at Xiaomi. Yourself, as always, can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. Sandhawk is on the menu for this game 2 out of 4. It's a wild map, blue zone in play, heel strats, a mountain, 3 islands, a river in the sidelines, a boot camp in the center. Nobody occupied it yesterday. As you get into this playing pass today, will we have a boot camp occupied team in this game?
I think based on the last game, we'll have one team dropping in the center. I wouldn't be too surprised if it's Mega Power. Yesterday, though, on Sandhawk, we didn't see any real hot drop fights. We saw a 2-team split drop, and they kind of split into one another, so that was an early casualty there. But no 2 teams in Paradise duking out, no 2 teams in Boot Camp duking it out. So let's see what happens in this map. I think we see in Cow very early on 2 teams both dropping towards Cow Tap Mock area. So we're going to have a 4v4 happening there. And Mega Power, they are the team to take the central position. Hopefully they have a better game for game 2 as compared to game 1. But this hot drop fight, Imperium, you ready for some early action in Sandhawk?
Well, I wonder if MDC are in a position to fight and if they're going to want to.
S-a schimbat sportul, nu mai sar la Final 4 rebel? De ce nu mai se duc la Final băieții, mă? Ba da, ne-am jucat ieri.
Because they just got blown out in a time where we didn't really get to look at them too much.
Ia uite aici, mă, să mură pe o... Uite cât sunt scoaie!
Mascot Pika's under a little bit pressure. The Gangsters X with the DPS. Fantastic early game weapon.
Bă, ce caută atâția playeri aici? Bă, ești prost, 2 squaduri aici, coaie, la o căsuță, dă-l dracu. Locul nu am luat ieri. Bai, ai, ce finish-ul. Bă, 8 player la casele astea, ești prost. What the fuck is wrong? My brother. Bă, dar n-au spoturi atâtea, mă. Mamă, e urât rău să...
Anything could change at just a second.
Am luat 9 ieri, am avut 3 meciuri, am avut praf rău de tot cu zona.
Oh yeah, you can go from 0 to hero with the DPS in your hands. I can Tell you that much. But I'm a little bit surprised that the gangsters essentially threw this fight away and lackadaisical pushing solo when you have the strength as a full team, when you cleared out that initial knock and you cleared out that initial kill. That should have been the moment for you to join together and push together.
Am luat cu nou. Ieri am avut ghinion 3 meciuri și ultimul meci ne-am bătut cu foarte multe echipe.
That revive and leave them up as a 3-man team. The gangsters know that they've lost a little bit and it's not worth them pushing it. Bad Boy even just drives fully away because I don't believe he even had any kind of med kits to get him up to anywhere near full health.
Yeah, he needed the med kits. You don't want to take a fight when you're that low, but he did leave behind Chacha OP. Now, Chacha OP, he picked up one of the kills onto the other team. Hold that thought. The fight in Cow is also breaking out right now. It seems like MDC did push on in. They are on the outside. The fight is being reset, though, for new names as they have 2 players knocked. And I believe they're going to get the full revives on each of those players. Not looking good for MDC.
And I'm kind of not surprised because if you notice, they hadn't had all of their players drop in the Cow area. So I thought they wouldn't have been as ready to fight as a team compared to new names. And it's spoken for itself. Lavda maybe looking to just fully disengage away, knowing that can't really do anything with that in the team fight, so hoping he can survive for longer. New names, not taking anything for granted, throwing out a Molotov here, there, everywhere, searching the buildings, making sure that there's no last player huddled in a corner in the bathroom somewhere, looking to get a surprise kill. While Dab, they escape their claim across the other side of the river into the mainland. And it is where this phase 1 is predominantly holding on to, the mainland, with a little bit of that northwest island to play.
Yeah, Dab making it out. They did pick up that one player that was left behind from the buggy, and they didn't lose anybody. So pushing together as a team, they did hear the buggy leave, but like you said, it's better safe than sorry. So they don't lose any players for that, and they get rewarded. But I just want to go back to that fight between Dabs and the Gangsters. That was an interesting spot to have a fight. They took a 4v4 at not a city, they took a 4v4 at a just a little.
Păi asta zic, se schimbă ușor meciurile. Vedem ce a mai rămas un om de la ei. Nu se știe ce se întâmplă niciodată.
If the mindset was, right, we're gonna do a split drop around here, and if we get contested by anybody, we're just gonna 4-man stack it and maybe do a 4v1 or 4v2.
2 de la Golden, 3 de la Dab. Hai să vedem ce se întâmplă.
Both teams had the same mentality, and it was a 4v4.
Dai semne exclamări team.
They must have spotted something out. Yeah, they are aware of Dabs up here.
Devine și lui dacă vor să se bată.
And both teams aware of each other's footsteps now.
Grillo backs away. Chief is there to support him. Dab, despite getting away, to be fair,
Yoda.
Fight around against the Gangsters X. Looks like they're still ready to fight. A nade in the direction of Maskov. I don't know how that wasn't a knockdown. It looked like a really good nade.
Doar când joacă Navi se știe ce se va întâmpla. Da, când joacă Navi deja se știe Navi câștigă. Oriunde joacă Navi deja se știe. EMEA, PMPL e Navi. La World League nu prea se știe, că acolo sunt foarte mult, acolo sunt tankurile globului, dar la EMEA se știe, Navi câștigă.
So to me, Dabby Sports should just back away, stay a little bit passive, maybe even head towards the bridge. Because to me, they're at a risky spot in the map.
Yeah, the problem is they've backed away from one fight already, and they have barely any loot. Like, if you look at all 3 players, I think maybe there's one out of those 3. And if they back away again, it's just, it cuts down on so much time. I feel like they want to not exactly commit to this fight, but commit to this spot and maybe get a kill or 2 to just get some loot for themselves. Yeah, mask off.
Prea bun sunt roșii, dă-i la mea au echipe peste echipe și sunt bun rău de tot.
Besides the AK in hand, not even a helmet to cover up his amazing purple hair, but as amazing as that purple hair is, you're better off with a helmet when you're dealing with bullets.
Oh man.
Depinde ce promovare și unde. Promovarea pe Instagram și TikTok e 10 euro și promovarea pe YouTube e 20 de euro. Pentru că eu am muncit pentru oamenii ăștia. Nu mai fac nimic gratis la nimeni. Că mi-a luat de la multă lume. A uitat de mine. A uitat lumea de mine. Nu mai e bun blind. După ce se ajung alții.
Moving out of boot camp early, I do like that.
Heading up north
onto that boot camp hill.
Boot camp hill, we saw yesterday, the team that controlled a lot of the kills and spacing was boot camp.
Pubg Mobile,
definitely really strong, and boot camp
Global
itself is
strong
for loot, but you do not want to be caught inside boot camp when the circle shifts away. So Mega Power doing a quick, smart rotation.
Da, fă-l live, zim când intră omul live, îmi dai link-ul în donație, eu îl iau link-ul, mă uit la el pe YouTube și dau link-ul pe ăla. Nu, eu doar ți-am zis locul, ca să nu fie supărare sau ceva, dar nu mai fac gratis, că mi-am luat la muie de la multă lume, a uitat de mine. Eram bun când i-am ajutat, acum nu mai, s-au ajuns și ei puțin. Nu mai e blondă, nu.
What do you make of the kind of rather slow rotations from both Respect and 4 Romanian boys down on the south side of this map? They're still in the blue. They're not even towards the mainland. Is this something you're okay with, or would you prefer to see them pushed a little bit more forward at the stage of the game?
Nu, tu mă du-te în pula mea să sugi.
I think for them, they realize the first circle is far away from them, so there's no real rush, so to say.
Ai ca un noroc că...
Because everything's gonna be occupied.
Iar au noroc, băieți. Vedem că jos nu e nimeni. Mamă, și multe de la bootcamp nimeni și nimeni, mamă. MP-ul stă bine acolo, TNB-ul stă unde stau ei de obicei.
Or they're just too far away to get a good position, but with this new circle shift
that goes towards the west side, contează și norocul ăsta, bă, mult de tot. Uite, toate echipele sunt în nord, în sud nu e niciuna.
Pretty much in zone. The question is, are they going to condense even
further? Nu știu, banana, s-au certat, nu știu ce au făcut, nu mă interesează.
Yeah, this kind of circle shift is probably not the kind that a lot of these teams would have wanted. It puts a bit more pressure onto that mainland and the teams that are already there. It does open up the trifecta compound for Respect, which they should look to take advantage of. Deuce are still on that northwest island close by to them. Last fight still in the blue. We saw that before.
Da, ieri am jucat.
Circle popped up, and interesting thing that I just
contează și zona, băi, contează și norocul.
Yeah, I think it's because Dab and...
Eu nu înțeleg de ce a schimbat băieția spotul, băi, Dextere, pe bune, că eu nu mai am nimic cu idei în pula mea. Că stătea bine la Painan, plecau de sus, erau direct pe munte acolo. X-Team-ul nu e, să stea sus pe munte.
Like I said, maybe they just saw one player drop a little bit too close to them and they wanted to gang up together on that player, turned into a 4v4, and now both teams, you know, no loot.
Nici nu știu ca să meargă rapid, oricum o să meargă Painan.
Yeah. It's true indeed. I'm curious to see if Mega Power will go back to boot camp on that phase 2 shift, thinking it could be a good place to hold on to. I don't agree because it's only phase 2, and it seems like that's the case because for the time being they're holding on to that boot camp hillside. It's going to be tricky. There's a few teams close by to them. The Noisy Boys realizing they needed to move away from Paradise Resort. I do like that Sorry for Skill moved a little bit more north on that phase 2 shift because they don't want to stay in the compound despite it being, you know, good from 4 walls protection. It doesn't really provide much control, and as you have more teams rotating around you, you do want to be controlling.
O echipă la casă.
Team Night Target moving up close to this compound.
L-avem pe Dio. A mers rău echipa lui în bot primul meci. Bă, se pot face schimbări drastice aici, mă, nu se știe niciodată, ți-am zis. Poți să ai un punct prima zi și a doua zi, să fii pe ultimul loc și să-ți meargă 8 meciuri agheu. Sau poți să fii pe primul loc primele 2 zile și după aia să cobori pe ultimul loc. Uite, întrebați-l pe Dexter să vă zice el. Se schimbă mult, măi, schimbări radicale se fac aici.
Soon to pop up.
O să vedeți, schimbările sunt mari rău.
Actually, no, all the teams are in the circle before we get into this phase 3. Last fight opting to go on to the mountain of the
zona de sud nu e nimeni cu aia, nimeni nu e zona de sud.
But they're still continuing to move down the mountain in preparation for this phase 3. A lot of space on the South Jucam hill to the northwest of Chirie as well. As we have that phase 3 shift, it's heading back onto the mainland.
Uite și tu că noroc aveam și noi cu aia, că ne luam muntele de aici cu aia.
There's a lot of spacing open right now on the
Eram
south
fix
side.
centrul zonei ăsta. Ba pula, iar de ce nu au dat zona așa, mă?
Median half is going to be really congested. I expect to see quite a few fights break out there. Question now for me is MP. Are they going to maintain that hill position, or are they going to like to go down into the compounds that are more central? That hill spot is strong, but it's not strong once you get surrounded by multiple teams to hold out on if the circle keeps centralizing up on them.
I really like the continuing movement of Respect, adjusting to every shift. I asked a question to you of like if they should have maybe moved a little bit more forward on the phase 1. You said you were okay with that because of the space. They were okay with it, but they've continued to move, and that is something respectful. Last fight though is a move down from the mountain. They are of course coming into the loving arms of TSC in pajamas. I wonder if they're actually playing in pajamas. That would be kind of cool. It's comfortable, and you do have to be comfortable when you're playing Pubg Mobile. But what kind of comfortable position do they have in this fight? 2 front, 2 back? I don't know if that's worthwhile.
I think it's a good split, as both the 2 in the front and the 2 in the back have a hill edges, and they also have the zone. Here's that angle from the back side of the hill, almost catching a knock there.
Ok, bună grenada, ba nu, că se duce, e greu.
Last fight needs to press
Mozarov se bate cu NT-ul, ce să mai... Ce ghinion au și ei ca noi cu aia, uite și tu cum e de aia în bot knock, NT-ul... NB dat knock.
Okay, I think he's just looking to reposition to find a better angle, and he could flank around, although was in a bogey. He has been recognized, and last fighter sending Sishu on the other side. They countered, and that's really good reaction from last fight.
It's a stalemate right now. Both teams have a 3-1. Both teams recognize which angle is trying to get an advantage on the other, and they counteract that.
Au ghinion NT-ul ca noi să-mi bat pula. Îi joacă bine rău și ei.
Last fight still have to press in, or they'll be taking blue damage very soon. They're trying to work an opening with the grenades, but no casualties both of these two teams.
Uite, TNB-ul ai în bot, nu? Dat finish-ul.
But I can't help that TSC are kind of cutting off their nose to spite their tail because they're holding on to this fight.
Puțin jocul, băgăm nici pula rasa lui. Pentru unii norocul e de la cer până la pământ, pentru alții trebuie să ți-l faci. Asta e urât aici la locul ăsta.
Taken out by team on the mainland. We'll have to wait and see as Forrest is able to get a knockdown on the prone position. Sarah's going to follow suit. This is great by TSC Legends. In the last fight, they knew they had to move because with the blue zone hitting us on this next phase, it does become a lot more difficult to deal with. And now TSC Legends, they've 2 down, 2 more left. It's about time they band together and clear up this team fight.
Clearing it. They're actually even pressing into the blue zone to try and clear it, but the Tommy gun, the 1v2 quick flick, he just gets a 2-piece just like that. Now it's down to 2v2.
Oh no.
Reaper gets the trade. 2v1 situation. The blue zone. The blue zone.
What?
Is the blue... Oh, no.
Ricky!
He's bandaging. He's bandaging through the blue zone right now. Able to out-survive that, but the circle shift also has come up on the screen. It's going back into boot camp. Imperial, we're gonna have one crazy ending of the Sandhawk match.
Băieții ăștia, uite ghinion ce au.
A boot camp finish for Sandhawk. I thought game 1 was exciting. Game 2 is about to be even more exciting now. Massive love to Reki. I remember casting him back in the Pmco 2020 spring split. He's come back to conquer Europe and definitely turned the fight around for last fight, surviving by the skin of his teeth. The Noisy Boys back onto the mainland, heading on towards the members of Rejection Gaming. Beg for mercy. There's a reason why he's one of the top players in Europe. Great reactions, and Mizaru covers him on the other side. Yes, Andy went down bad to Trio. They're doing a great job of holding their own against All Rejection Gaming.
Beg for mercy with that nice drop shot, wins that 1v1 disadvantage TPP peak right there. And the Noisy Boys, they are down to 3 players though, and they looks like they're gonna have to loop around. They don't want to take this fight into the compounds, and the compounds actually hold 2 teams. Time is cutting in short, and like I said on Sandhawk, the more you loop around, the less time you have, and chances are you'll just loop into a different team. So we'll have to see in a few seconds how the Noisy Boys are going to make it out into this one. Smoke's coming through for All Rejection Gaming, as they are also not in the circle, and they have their own fight to take with Sorry for Skill, or holding the buildings right next to them.
I definitely respect that from the Noisy Boys. There is a risk there because they could be walking into another much harder fight. It seems to be the case, as a black hole outside the boot camp has the feeders in the front of it. Now Mizawa from behind could definitely pull something off big, while the winners of game 1 for Romanian Boys are back once again to clean up this lobby. It's going to be a little harder in Sanok, of course, because of the third party potential. Down goes the last player of Deuce Gaming. We also lost Knight Target as well, as the next phase pops up, and once again it's in boot camp, baby. Mega Power went there, Respect went there, but the warehouses, they're out, available for the taking.
Ar putea să... ba nu, că iau pe ăștia în dreapta. Trebuie să bată pe aia, să meargă la casele alea în față, rapid.
They took their time. They probably looted up a lot of first aids. This zone ending is the perfect zone ending.
Urcă ea sus pe munte, nu-i bine. Plecați și voi cu stânga, nu? Încearcă Beso.
Run through, because you never know where players might be. So I think we're in for a treat here. We might see that med strat come out for this Sandhawk match. But meanwhile, these other teams too far into the blue zone. They got to take the fights. All Rejection Gaming, third person picking that, moving to a tree. They see the players run by. He's not going to take shots just yet. Sorry for Skill, though, farming the winners of the last match for Romanian Boys, getting knocked down to just 1 player.
The words of Conor McGregor, sorry for absolutely nothing, as they do indeed help to get the squad on to the members of 4 Romanian Boys. There's the last player of the Noisy Boys in the mix, looking to fight in the blue, while All Rejection Gaming, just 1 player left standing. Bobby Gang coming down into the warehouses, but new names are there. The shots are going to be fired up. Bobby Gang running and gunning, exactly what he needs to do. And he's going to make it into the very end of the circle by this side of the warehouse, as the next circle shifts down south.
19 player, 9 echipe, imposibil.
Boot camp and Mega Power, they drop boot camp, and 20 minutes later they find themselves back in boot camp. There is around, I think, 2 teams surrounding them in boot camp.
Last fight eliminată.
By 1. The Noisy Boys
eliminată.
They finish this match in 7th place. They pick up a couple.
Mai sunt 2 din S4 acolo acasă, să vedem cum s-a zona. Arată pe ei.
Mega Power. These are the only 2 teams.
Dar cine e din MP acolo, băi, ce bine stau.
4v4 situation. Mega Power though kind of split up, hoping to capture.
Să uitați de un like și un share, mă ajută mult.
I like it because any kind of utility, less likely to take down 2 players or more, so to speak, but it does of course come at the detriment of zonal control, of
știe pe Besto acolo și ține la din MP pe amândoi, ei sunt full open, trebuie să vină prin full open, numai că îl dă knock pe ăla, dar ajută să altul de habar.
Full squad up from their side, it's going to be a lot harder. Now they have the angles. 5 teams left up, we lose another, as TSC in pajamas are still holding down strong, and new names, they push up away from the warehouses. ACA, oh my lord, with a sliver of health is going to survive prone down in that position.
Yeah, Rex did manage to break into the first layer of defense.
Cred că câștigă băieții ăștia din Rex,
Split
da.
is great, but I think we're a little bit too
Așa
late into
bănuiesc.
the game to commit to a split. Now Rex stacked up, pushed in together.
Mă, cum a fost grenada aia, bă, bine rău băiatul ăsta, bravo.
They have majority of the zone.
Hai,
Mega Power, they have the corner edges of the zone, but Mega Power,
văd că
they want to win
trăiesc
this
amândoi.
match. I'm thinking they gotta push into Rex. They do get a knock.
Băi! Bă, ce grenade dau ăia, mă!
Beautiful, fantastic awareness coming out from Rexpect. They know people are going to be coming from the warehouses. They saw the smoke, they heard the footsteps, and they're not letting anyone inside get close to their position. Of course, they have allowed Mega Powers to join back up as a team. So it's more likely we're going to get into a clean 4v3 fight. Actually, sorry, 3v3 fight. My apologies, because I didn't realize that Broody Boy had been taken out. Sorry for skill. Sportsman goes down. The play zone gets the better of him, and we're into our final 3 teams. It's just Aka 3v3v1. That's going to be it, and we're in to clean 3v3. But just as quick as we get into it, it's starting to really kick off as both players get one knockdown. Logist along with Fella Boy, one in the warehouse, one by the side of the building. Great position by Pappy Boy, using that low ground to help get a third person perspective to give information while his teammate goes for the revive.
The next circle did come up. It does favor Mega Power. So Pappy, it comes down to this angle that he's holding. Will it be enough cover to get Rex to push in? I do think Rex is all going to go to the low ground and push in through that one doorway. If Mega Power can see this coming, there's a good way for them to defend it and potentially close out this match. But here comes the push, Imperium.
It's gonna have to happen. Pappy down on the low side. You have Bardo and Salazar. Together they stand united. A full hashtag roar with us as we expect 2 games, 2 strong results, but can they close out the chicken dinner on this game too? All 3 players of Mega Power in the warehouse. That's a beautiful position by Logist. Yes, he might not be able to get shots, but that information with that third person disappointed that Rexpect have been a little bit too slow, a little bit too quiet. They backed themselves into a corner. A little bit of a one-dimensional push is going to have to come through, but they do chuck a Molotov into one of the entrances of the doorway. They hold on to this side of it. Bardo, Pappy, now Salazar to follow suit. The next phase has popped up. 10 seconds until the final circle closes in. An M249 in the hands. The first knock comes in. Rex on the Bardo. Rex goes down. The trade up. Salazar with the M249. He's low in health. No time to pull off a first aid. He goes down.
Noi n-am făcut 29, am avut ghinion mare.
Chicken dinner winners for game 2.
Nu e el, mă, ce aveți? Nu e el.
They drop boot camp, they hold boot camp, and they win in boot camp.
Ați văzut schimbări drastice mari.
That's one way to be rewarded for dropping the center of the map, right, Imperium? Have the zone just end right there where you start out in, and you get that chicken dinner. But Rexpect, that was a very clean, methodical play by them. They worked the angles.
N-ai target ce ghinion au și ei ca noi să-mi bag pula, că n-au un ghinion băieții ăia ca noi, mă duce mi-au alți. Au un ghinion săraci și ei să-mi bag pula. Dă o dracu de viață dacă n-au și băieții ăia ghinion. Au făcut 4 puncte în 2 meciuri. Noi am mers bine cu ghinionul de ieri. Noi la ce ghinion am avut ieri și am făcut punctele alea, e bine rău, ce aveți? Și eu aștept clasamentul, să văd pe ce loc am căzut. Oricum mâine o să facem altceva.
Stay in boot camp for too long. They didn't even move back into boot camp too early. They really were, you know, not afraid to stay out of boot camp until it was a definite ending inside that city.
Yes, they worked the zones, right? Every circle shift, they worked what they thought had the most control. And in boot camp, you don't have control of anything besides boot camp itself. So really good adjustment for when they decided to commit into boot camp.
Să moară Dexter dacă nu dați like-ul ăla, adevărat. Dacă-l iubiți, dacă nu-l iubiți, dați like-ul ăla să moară.
And so this team, I mean, next map,
V-ați făcut puncte pe kill-uri. Da, noi n-am făcut pe placement, pe kill-uri am făcut, nu și pe kill-uri. N-am fost... Te pup, Sofiane, aș veni viața mea, nu se poate. Sunt departe rău, mâncați și talentul tău. Noi pe noi ne-a scos kill-urile, nu ne-a scos placement-ul.
I mentioned it just before the end of that game. Respect 2 games in a row, 2 really strong results. We saw the Familia yesterday in every single game get a top 5. Are Respect gonna repeat that? It's looking like it is gonna be the case.
Te pup, Amon.
Yeah, Respect with 18 points. That's only 3 points shy
da,
of the chicken
vedeți, uite,
team. So,
nu sunt multe puncte, deci
but they got close
se
to the
schimbă
same amount
una,
of
două.
points as Mega Power. New names with
Asta zic și eu, deci nu e, dacă ai luat un minut te vezi sus, nu există, sau oricine ar lua, oricine. Trebuie să mergi bine, rău, ta. Noi am făcut bine, eu sunt mulțumit, 29 de puncte ieri, prima zi, emoții. Eram ieri pe 9, dar acum nu știu pe ce loc suntem, oricum o să scădem până pe 20, cam așa. Dacă suntem pe locul 20, așa, după a doua zi e bine.
0 points just as well. Okay. Noisy Boys still in the front page.
Să vedem când apare clasamentul. Da, TNB era favorit, dar nu-ți făghiși că ea pot să facă surprize mari. E o echipă care are potențial mare. Toate au potențial mare, dar au mai multă experiență și poate să... 5 puncte Romanian Boys. Înțeles? Mai fac așa 2 meciuri, n-au făcut multe puncte, și ce zic? Te pumpulai. Bă, dar ce ghinion are, n-ai target-ul. Last fight-ul, românii, ca noi, pulă, rău de tot să-mi bapula, învârte zona sute de metri.
Yeah, it's only been 2 games. Maybe the next 2 is when they'll come back and close it out. But if it's anything like yesterday, usually teams that kind of struggle throughout the day, bar the very last match, they might have a big breakout game. But we'll just have to see. But as far as consistency goes, this lobby between C and D, some of the strong teams do look very consistent.
They do. MDC, though, they got 19 points in game 1, and they kind of throw that away by getting 0 points in the second game. That's why I kind of highlighted that for Romanian Boys, 5 points is okay, because at least it's something with 4 kills, whereas MDC, that's basically cut in half. It's like they got 8 points each game, which still isn't bad. But you expect to maybe see a little bit more of a follow-up?
Am avut ultimul meci, da, am avut noroc de zonă ultimul meci, dar au venit chinezii aia pe noi. Și ne-a prins fix când Redix cu Bank se bătea cu QF-ul și pe noi ne-a prins pe mine și pe ăla cu Cheme ne-a prins seara al 4 și am fost rău de tot. Că dacă nu ne pușeau 2 squaduri în același timp, era bine. Te pup, Sofiane, bea acolo, tati, bea să-ți fie de bine. Aia au fost urât, dacă nu veneau chinezii din partea aia full squad și aia alții și aveam timp să ne regrupăm, 15 puncte și aveam noi timp să ne regrupăm, era bine, dar n-am știut, vezi? Acum știm, acum nu ne mai batem așa, nu ne mai împărțim. Dacă nu-mi dădea la knock de la 200 de metri în ăla, acolo mă descurcam cu cheme, dar a venit un sărăcie, mă avea, nu știu cum a văzut el, avea un view și m-a terminat ăla. Da, nu știu ce promovează telefonul ăla, că e căpșună. Da, mă, da, a fost emoții, a fost pula ta, Da, pe asta așa o să facem și noi acum. Bank, scheme, Red, eu, tot echipa a jucat bine, dar n-a pus să fie aia. Bine că n-am făcut 4-5 puncte la ce zonă ne-a dat. Până la ultimul meci, bine că n-am făcut 3-4 puncte, ești nebun? Că era nasol să mor. Aia zic, era nasol, bine că am făcut ceva puncte ieri, m-a dat zonele și alea, că altfel revin și eu imediat mă duc la baie. Dar ne calificăm, mă, ce aveți? Eu, mă, nu știu ce promovează telefonul ăla, că-i... Păi suntem bine, suntem pe
2 games down, 2 to go in day number 2 of the Pmco EU West 2021 full split. Myself and Piran with the wonderful Zute. The Sanhok game was action-packed. It's changed a couple of things on the leaderboard, but gotta say, some good performance with that chicken dinner
Top 15.
come out from Mega Power.
Yeah, Mega Power game 1 didn't have the best game. Not too bad of a game either, but that game 2 on Sanhok definitely brought it around for them. Now we're halfway done with the day. We still got 2 maps left. So any of these teams struggling towards the bottom or more near the top, anything could still change at this point. 2 games, we have Miramar, the most difficult map. And we'll really see what these teams are made of on Miramar.
Yeah. Sure. After 2 games, we are able to show you the overall standings. Let's have a look at that. This includes all of the teams that
Haide, bă, că vedem acum. Hai să vedem pe locurile, da? Camera mea, unde e camera? Webcam. Haide. Tip-topul pe 1, La Familia pe 2, Q-Anlin pe 3, FTU pe 4, X-Team-ul pe 5, 6 pe... Sunt curios pe ce loc suntem. Dacă suntem după 2 meciuri acolo, bine, top 16 e forță.
Yeah, seeing this right now, I believe they'll get at least
Respectul
10
pe 7,
points,
fără mea mă pe 8.
in the next 2 games, and that'll put them in the top 5 very comfortably. So, like I said earlier in the broadcast, remember, we have 4 different groups playing. If you're doing okay, let's say
în 32 de echipe, să vedem pe ce loc suntem. Ieri am avut ghinion. Hai să vedem. După 2 meciuri la ei, dacă suntem bine, e forță. Dacă ne ținem tot acolo, și în al doilea tabel, e forță.
But let's go into the second page to get a better idea of the rest of the teams playing right now.
Mega Power, 12th place.
Bine, suntem pe locul 11. Bine.
16 for the time being, 29 points.
Suntem pe 11, bă, e bine. La diferență de 1 punct, adică pe 9, 1 punct dacă mai aveam. Uite, vedeți, uitați skill-urile noastre față de restul, de la 9 până la 16. Vedeți skill-urile noastre? Suntem pe 11. Uitați-vă la kill-urile noastre și la placement-ul. Noi nu avem placement, ei au placement. Pe noi ne-au scos kill-urile. Suntem pe 11, mă, ce ai? Și e diferență de 6 puncte, trecem pe locul 8. Da, o super 17 care nu joacă, Seven Sins nu joacă. Noisy Boys pe 19. E bine, mă, ce aveți, e bine, e bine. E bine, dacă după 2 meciuri așa se treaba. Un avion, ce să în final ne batem cu ei, mă, ori murim, ori facem win și ne batem cu toți. Stăm bine, mă, ce aveți.
Kind of stress, knowing that you really have a lot to climb, a big mountain to climb, over the remaining 8 games that you have. So
mâine cu ceva noroc de zonă și ne-am dus top 5.
We're going to see a pretty good mixture of teams that have 2 games and a few teams that have 4 games.
Conqueror pe 26, 8 puncte a făcut, mai. Pastul 6 puncte a făcut ieri.
Right.
Sunt mulți Deus care joacă azi. Sunt multe care n-au făcut team night target 5 puncte, ai de pula mea. Mamă, 1, 2, 3, 4 echipe de la 20, 4 echipe de români, 26, 27, 29 și 30. Nu, azi nu joc la pe meciul. Dacă după 2 meciuri suntem pe 11, până pe 16 am zis. În al doilea tabel să apărăm și după următoarele 2 meciuri e Jujuc.
So, next map, Miramar. What are your thoughts, man? We've seen these teams play 2 maps so far. Do you have any teams that you feel like can really stand out on Miramar?
Pentru că nu este grupa noastră, noi am fost AU cu B-ul, astăzi joacă C-ul cu D-ul, mâine joacă AU cu C-ul, poi mâine joacă B-ul cu D-ul. Va joaca AU cu D-ul.
True that the mixture of players that are in that team in their previous teams back in the PMPL showed a lot of strength in Miramar and their ability to control the areas, control the terrain, and there's no doubt that the team is full of talent. But for me, it has to be the teams down at the bottom once again to put a bit of a focus on Deuce and Night Targa. Man, these teams are not shy of experienced players and talented players. Whether it's a lack of synergy, whether it's just
cu 2-3 români.
the first day, but to me,
da, full echipă de români e ST-ul și cu Foromenian. Atât. Full echipă de români. Nu fac rumuri, șefule, cred că mă joc cu un scrim și după aia ies, mă pun la somn, că mine mă joc la PMCO, mâine trebuie să facem forță, să urcăm sus, să fim top 5. Mâine trebuie să fac 45 de puncte la meciuri.
Oriented map. There's so many terrain levels for this map. So we'll see when we come in what team really has what it takes.
Yeah, indeed. We are just waiting for this third game to go.
Da, să rămân cu România. Mâine începe la ora 4, ora mea, adică la ora 6 România.
Why won't they start the game? Because we're delaying the game on purpose, isn't that right, Zute? We actually, we're stopping the game from happening, of course. But yeah, I think as definitely our fault. Blame us. Hashtag blame the casters or whatever you want to put. Yeah, Miramar is really a big test of a team's ability to sweep through controlling areas and really look to set themselves up. I'm excited though about the prospect of RecSpec getting another good result. Would I like to see them close out the game like they've been very possibly able to do in the first 2 games? Let's be kind of a little bit kind of critical. The first 2 games they've had that opportunity to really finish the job. They have, but they failed to do it. I would kind of like to see them pull off that chicken dinner in this Miramar game.
I mean, both games, they came very close. The Erangel game, I believe they should have won, right? It was a 3v2 situation. I think with Rexspect, it might be the pressure. I don't think it's the mechanics, but both games, they lost their close range fight. Now, usually players would think and say, you know, like, oh yeah, their close range just isn't good. But with it being PMCO, you know, the nerves are there. And if one thing gets messed up the most when you're nervous, it's when you have an enemy right next to you shooting their gun at your face and you like not panic, but the nervous energy just throws your aim off, and it's cost them 2 chicken dinners, quite literally. First game, if they killed the 4 Romanian boys there, that's a chicken dinner. And the last game, it was literally them versus Mega Power. So, third game, maybe the nerves have calmed down. I don't know if we'll see them in the final teams again, you know, with the last 2 teams and then them having close range and then they close it out. But for sure, their nerves should have calmed down by now. I mean, heck, they've had 2 really good games. There's nothing more to be nervous about. Maybe their performance will only be better.
And I love the fact that you bring up the elements of kind of the close quarter fights that they've lost at the end of both of these games, because you could argue that Miramar tends to end in a situation where, for the most part, the teams are somewhat far away from each other, where you have maybe a bit of utility here and a firefight there. It's less, unless it's a city ending, it's less of a close quarter combat fight. So that could benefit Rexspect and the strength that they have shown in the first 2 games to control their area and to really manipulate the traffic around them.
That is an absolutely great point that you bring up. If this Miramar ending is typical, right? It's usually the team with the positioning and angles that come out on top, not so much, you know, that close range fight we were talking about. If Rex pulls it out, am jucat ieri, astăzi nu jucăm. You know, what you just said,
astăzi sunt alte grupe. Noi am început pe Pmco, suntem pe locul 11 până acum, e bine.
The first 2 games with their positioning, with their angles, I would love to see Rex get a chicken dinner this time around. They've had the top 5 finishes both games so far. If they win this one, that will definitely shoot them up into the first place.
Exactly, definitely put them on site. We'll have to wait and see. We're going to go for a quick break, have a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be getting into this game 3 of the day quite shortly.
Premiul e $4.000, locul 1. 2500 locul 2, 1500 sau 1800 locul 3 și după aia vine câte 1200-1300 de dolari. Așa am vrut eu, mă, Norofen, că n-am vrut eu să mai stau să mă mai chinui, mi s-a rupt. Sunt comentator foarte bun, Ricuto. N-am vrut, șefule, eram cu munca, n-aveam timp. Aveam altele pe cap, ai înțeles? Mamă, ce la acolo.
There you go. Told you it was going to be a short break.
Sunt comentator care știu jocul bine rău, doar că nu sunt player bun, dar știu jocul ăsta la Zutai. Zutai e jucător de World League, mă, nebunilor. Zutai a jucat la World League, ești nebun, e coach, e toate alea. Știi ăla ce nu știm toți ăștia de pe live, ești nebun la cap, te pui cu Zutai. Hai. Zutai e jucător de când e lumea și pământul de World League.
Of course, what we highlight now might not be the case come the final day. And it's good to speculate.
Are experiență mare rău cu grei planete la Pubg, nebun. Imperium prezintă de când e lumea și pământul, ești nebun. Max Man și alții.
Yeah, the PMCO, it's a
marathon da, bravo.
Race, not a sprint. I mean, it's great if you get a head start, don't get me wrong.
Creier mare, ești
the
nebun.
momentum, the confidence, the mentality, it is huge in the
Dai un dia
PMCO
stau o lună de
stages when a
zile
lot
să
of
se
these teams
antreneze
are
echipa zilnic,
inexperienced and
să moară
nervous. But you're
Geana
right,
dacă nu
Imperium. We're
violezi
only
tot.
into day number 2. There's quite a few more days to go. These teams have a lot more matches to play. And the biggest factor yet is how fast can these
Ba da,
teams
Mario, am
improve
jucat ieri, astăzi nu
based
jucăm, că
on
sunt alte
VOD
grupe.
review. Each day that gets
Salut, numărul
played,
3.
that is footage to
Eu
be
nu
studied,
rog fan.
things to analyze, things to work out with the team. And that is one hidden aspect that could really bring one team up to the top. You may not start out strong. You may not get your foothold. But maybe the team's got a great brain. Maybe they've got a coach to really help them out to go over things and then fine-tune everything for the next day.
And that's kind of, that brings me
pe
to
Tras Paraboy și pe Push și pe alea Callboy de la el în echipă. Sau nu Callboy, altcum. Ba da, cred că Callboy, sau nu mai știu cum îl cheamă.
And to take a bit of a
din
step
România,
back to
cine gândește cel mai bine jocul, ca Pahala.
You maybe feel a little bit more refreshed and focused when you've played in teams over the years on all of the kind of LAN events and the major events that you compete in. Is that something that you were always conscious of not letting yourself
nu mai e la NAM, e la Coina Power.
Oh, 100%. I think when tournament season's happening, we at least play tournament matches back-to-back days. We do not participate in any scrim matches. All we do is VOD review, and at most we hop into like a TDM match just to stay warmed up mechanically. But like scrim matches, practicing different stuff, like it's just, we already have so much on our plate with the tournament, so a break is definitely needed. I would advise against scrimming while playing in the tournament days. I mean, if it works, it works, but it's just so much going on in VOD review.
Order, bravo, bă, Order ăla mi se pare
so much more important.
Paraboy pe Tras, dar Order ăla să moară Jana, că nu ăla bate squaduri întregi de playeri top în lume. Am văzut 1v4 ce dă, ăla se bagă singur în full squad.
You know, picking your brain and getting your insight as well as others, and I feel like not enough players recognize that, and they try and take on too much at once, and then it can suddenly hit them, especially when you're getting closer to the end of a tournament where maybe that all elusive important match counts, and where you really need to drag out that wonderful
Chirie, uite-te să vezi, haide bă, nu vreau să vorbesc, lasă așa, ne uităm la Pmco.
Moment that we've seen, to be fair, already from Redux of 4 Romanian boys, but it's a start. These teams are energized, are ready. They need to put on a show. The game is about to be ready. Of course, we're getting into it very soon. Miramar is going to be on the menu once again, as the Pmco EU West. The menu of this tournament is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors at Xiaomi. You yourself can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G.
Mă put în Redmi tău, dă-i-te văd.
Just want to touch upon before we get into this game, kind of in
da, Chirie, hai să schimbăm subiectul, că ne uităm la Pmco.
But having that smooth in-game experience, it does really allow you as a player to focus, right, Zute?
China e number one. Asia e number one la PUBG. Nici Rusia, nimeni nu bate China. Asia e number one la jocul ăsta. Pădurean Flavius?
It's just frustrating to have. But talking about lag, I hope none of these players
aici link viața mea, ți-am dat eu link. Da, Orbe are mulți urmăritori, da. Dar sunt player la nivel mondial care n-are nicio șansă, Orbe. China e power viața mea, China e number one. Asiatici, de fapt. Haide bă, gata, Miramaru.
The plane is flying over the map of Miramar. This is your captain speaking. We have a wonderful, pretty much dead central plane path going from the east to the west. You didn't quite catch it, but it was there. I saw it with my own 2 eyes, and this will allow
Nu există, mă, fiecare are caracteristicile lui, dar pe tras, ca paraboi cu DP-ul ăla n-am văzut unul în lumea asta. Unul în lumea asta ca paraboi pe DP n-am văzut. Băiatul ăla cu DP-ul e incredibil, mă, cațișorul tău. Și pe tras orice armă e incredibil. Salut, Cristian. Nu fac ala, fac live-ul ăsta.
Right off the bat in Al Azhar, we have Deuce dropping right next to Rex. Rex, the team that we were talking about that struggle with the close
mulțumesc din
range.
suflet de membru, trăiască familia ta și tot ce iubești tu. Mersi din suflet și din inimă.
But they're dropping right into a close range fight. They might close this one out.
Te pup, mersi frumos, Flaviu, să trăiască familia ta, bine ai venit în familie.
Really good games.
Yeah, as we kind of go into it, I'm going to be super curious where the individual players of both teams have dropped. It does seem like Respect initially have a little bit of a better sweep around the city buildings, but I don't know how strongly together they are compared to Deuce. Phase 1's popped up. It's massively on the west. That guitar shape is out of bounds, so it does take away some of that landmass available. Not too bad, but of course on the northeast it's going to make the rotation into circle a little bit tricky for these teams.
Yeah, before we go off the map, there's three
da, mai să mai
teams,
vorbim, că noi vorbim de oameni care sunt grei pe Pubg-ul ăsta. El Azar, opa, Rexul cu Dabu, hai să vedem ce se întâmplă.
My God, Group C and D, they really like to fight for their spot. They are not scared to commit to a fight.
Fotbolistul rămâne unul dintre favoritele mele echipe.
Imperium Rex has the positional advantage, so to say. They have the angles, but the players must play it correctly so they don't get singled out from one and another.
Ea sunt doi, poate să-i pușeze pe rând și el rămâne singur acolo.
He's going into a little bit of a 1v2. It's important that he stalls and distracts the members of Deuce. Chills, cooks up a grenade, and that's the opening. Pappy gets a knock on the daddy. It's going to slow and reposition, although Pappy gets knocked in return by Specky Boy. Nicely reacted with the M16, but a return from Broody Boy. All the boys in the world, but the boys in the hood that is Al-Azhar is really heating up. Bardo's looking to run away, still the two.
Ce-a făcut, bă? Dar l-ai auzit, mă, cu metri, trăiască familia ta. Vezi, urâte-s fight-urile astea de la început. Caen e numărul 1. Ai făcut ceva pe meciul, suntem pe locul 11, suntem bine. La cum i-a mers ieri, fix pula i-a mers ieri. Dar am făcut măcar puncte.
Might have been able to stall for longer. As Rex, though, they want to
Rexul nu se lasă, vrea să
their 3v2 situation. They do not allow the revive, at least not an easy revive, as they look to keep putting the pressure up. Meanwhile,
NT-ul se bate iară cu aia.
Another team fight just got finished up, and they keep 4 alive right there too. This fight, though, not over between Rex and Deuce.
Da, bă. Hai, poate au noroc. Nu, că nu merge de la net. Da, pe kill-urile, nu placement-ul, că n-au avut noroc de placement.
Deuce, 1 point in 2 games. They need this win. They need the confidence boost, and that's lovely.
Și acum l-a dat, uite.
Takes down Broody Boy with the
L-a luat, bravo, bă, e bine băiatul.
Second knock on board. The clutch play from Jesh is beautiful to witness, and now Chills looks to focus on Salazar. Salazar
Flaviu, se după pe meciul o scriem, te rog eu, viața mea. Acum nu-mi stă capul la așa ceva, te rog eu. Plus că o să-mi schimb contul, cred. Uite, vezi? Avea un ochi, ăștia erau 3, puteau să-i pușezi atunci în pula mea, dar ăla nu știu ce a făcut. Emoții mari, băi, pe toată lumea. Nu e chiar așa ușor, mă.
And yeah, focus on improving over the course of the Pmco, so that's good to see. The game, oh man, another team just finished out just like that. We didn't even get a chance to catch these other fights, but that is 2 teams, or not, that's 1 team completely wiped out and 2 teams down to just 1 player.
And a map that's normally known to be
Nu e Salazar al nostru, bă, ăla.
is just full of action in
TNB-ul. Hai să vedem unde se duce TNB-ul.
Wonderful to see.
E al treilea meci, pe înainte, Pantea, te pup.
This group C and D, maybe if teams
Vlade, ce zici, băi?
super experienced and maybe have a
te
little
pup,
bit more
e al treilea meci. Vedem pe ce loc suntem după meciul ăsta.
They're not willing to give up their compound, and that in turn allows a few more crashes and a few more hot drops.
Ionuț, tu nu înțelegi când e Salazarul ăla de care vorbești tu?
Group C and D, we talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast. The level of teams
te pup,
here in
Kenny,
general
te pup și eu am făcut ăsta ceva în primele două. N-am făcut așa o echipă. Noi suntem încă pe 11, e bine. Dacă suntem top 16, dacă suntem top 16 până la ultimul meci, e forță. Ce să fac Kenny? Mă uite aici, mâine urcăm top 5. Sper, Doamne ajută, să avem măcar mâine noroc de zonă. TNB-ul aici și-a fight. Hai să vedem ce face TNB-ul aici. Păi și vorbești și urât, șefule, ți-am explicat, nu mai vorbi urât, Doamne ajută, țipul meu să fie bine. Te pup, Vlad.
The Noisy Boys moved out of San Martin relatively early. The Gangsters X, after taking down Dabby Sports, will of course
da, n-am avut noroc ieri de zonă și ultimul meci ne-au pușat multe echipe la sfârșit de zonă.
Just got out of a fight. Can we have a little bit of time to maybe loot up, find our feet and refocus? But nah, the Noisy Boys want
nu, sâmbătă e ultima zi care jucăm noi și ultima zi e duminică.
The Italian side in this Pmco look to really actually, I was gonna make an Italian pun, but it just didn't feel right. I'll leave it go. I'll leave it go.
Alright, the Noisy Boys getting closer. The Gangsters, so one advantage they do have is that they just happen to be very spread out. This definitely works in their favor. Cha-Cha OP, I don't know if the Noisy Boys is aware of his position,
deja a dat un knock. Hai să vedem ce face TNB-ul. A dat și finish-ul.
The Noisy Boys, this is very early in the game.
El are pe la dreapta. Sunt curios ce se întâmplă acolo în dreapta. Sunt foarte agresivi băieții.
Rupee on that compound that's off the side of power grid on his own can definitely slow down the Noisy Boys, but I don't think can really do enough to turn the fight.
Să vedem ce face TNB-ul în situația asta acolo.
OP moved away from Mad Kill. Actually no, sorry, you see
l-a mai dat un knock.
But at the end of the day,
a mai dat 3 knock.
On through a second knock, Mad Kill is down and yeah, like I said,
ce știe pe ăla și ia, uite, fii atent aici, unul se duce pe el, coaie, tupeu, bă, ce au ăștia în ei, mă, să moară. Nici a stat la discuție, a dat pe aia 3 knocks, ăsta s-a dus singur după ei, să vezi tupeu în el, dar vine și ăla altul din spate.
In my opinion, the Mutant is probably the worst AR in the game. So Rupee not able to find the equipment he needed to deal with that long-range support position that he just happened to be placed in. And the Noisy Boys making some noise, joining in on the action early on, and they pick up 3 kill points. Ooh, that circle shift, though, you can't even see like a third of it on the left side of the screen.
Da, sunt și eu cu echipa.
Right? Because although like that high ground that's just to the east of the guitar shape is available, it's not really an optimized spot, or there's a few risks involved with going there. So you're dead right about pretty much a third of this phase 2 is out of bounds. Of course, it does make the La Drillera Hills probably
vedem și zona, dați un like, să nu uitați de like, mă ajută mult.
This circle, if you can control it down, but it's a pretty sweeping hillside where 2 to 3 teams can be there.
Definitely. And another thing to note, this is the second circle shift where it goes
hard muntele ăla de sus de la Montenegro e șef să mor. Eu acolo m-aș fi dus din prima. După ce mă lutam eu mă duceam până acolo.
And the consecutive hard shifts. Usually when the plane path doesn't go in line with the first circle and the circle hard shift twice in the same direction, that is perfect formula for making a long fast rotation to take somewhere centered.
Semnul exclamării și scrie timp și îți apare echipa.
It is quite open.
Mida, salutare.
And Mega Power have been the team to do that. By the way, they dropped in Pecado. You called that. They did drop in Pecado, but that sweeping rotation down on the kind of south western side of Chumacera to come in onto the La Drolera Hills off the back of that phase 2 shift is a beautiful reaction from the Mega Power side. So showing their strength in this game 3 of the day once again. Before Romanian boys, it's a good rotation. They have a 2-2 split, but they also have to think about the fact that they have All Rejection Gaming to the north, and they have TSC in pajamas to the south.
Yeah, 4 Romanian boys here that you see on screen taking the high ground on the northwest of the map. TSC on the low ground. We're only into circle 2 though, so high ground, low ground. Yes, each position has its advantages, but what really matters is the next few shifts. Usually by the 4th circle, we'll really get a clear idea of what team can hold a positional advantage for the rest of the game and what teams really just have to rotate on those hard shifts.
Fii atent că iar o să aibă băieții ăștia noroc de zonă.
There you go. Information being given to the 4 Romanian boys. Don't get tunnel visioned. Scope in. Be aware. Then look around again. Continuing scouting in a 360-degree direction. Get the communication on board. Sorry for skill. Going to be coming in from the Minas Del Val region onto the southern edge of the circle, cusping their way in as a knock has been pulled off onto one of the 4 Romanian boys players, but in return, CREWCHALLENGE gets knocked in return.
Yeah, this fight right here, it's looking like the advantage does go to New Names as they have one player close that they could isolate out. The Overwatch in the back did get knocked, and the next circle shift comes out. Great nade though by Bright from 4 Romanian boys. That's going to slow down the push. And would you look at that, the hills you mentioned to the west of La Dorilla is going to be the focal point of this Miramar game. And guess who's already there, Imperium? Do you see it?
Yes, sir.
Mamă, n-au zona.
Yes, I do.
Deci ceva acolo.
Mega power, man.
Power.
So good, like so good. But hey,
TNB-ul
the
se bagă de
defeaters are
us.
coming in behind them, so it's something they have to be considerate of. And let's not take away from the eastern side of La Drolera, that kind of hill that's across the road from that region is still very strong to control.
S-a urcat ăsta sus, mamă, îi măcelărește aici.
Definitely, and the circle could shift east or west of that dividing point down the middle, giving really the team with advantage in the middle, or it could even shift up towards the middle. And this fight between 4 Romanian boys and new names, they are not disengaging. The circle has shifted away from both of these teams, and I think 4 Romanian boys just wants to make sure they put enough pressure so that when they do rotate, New Name doesn't feel confident enough to just stand up and shoot them in the back. So well played.
Yeah, I like that recognition, but now the noisy boys on the sweep on through, looking to take the fight against Zeus. Chills, put down to around 15 health. Gonna have to cook up a grenade down the bottom of the hill. Finds Bed for Mercy with that one a little bit overthrown. Daddy's behind, still in the blue, but can definitely pull off a surprising number of shots. But Chills, the Sniper Master cannot connect with the Mini 14 shots. And that's what I was talking about. And he gets knocked down. That's the opening. Beg for Mercy being stopped in his tracks by Jax,
dar l-au pe ăștia, ăsta aici, ăsta ține bine rău de aici. Îi ajută maxim. Nu știu, Miță, trebuie să te antrenezi. Maria, bună, te pup, Mati, toată lumea vă pup, frontează la și cer.
Important in this kind of team fight. I don't know if the Noisy Boys can turn this one around.
If anything, they should be finished off here as Deuce. They have all the angles and the high ground advantage. You see, the Noisy Boys did manage to revive one of their knocked players. They're keeping themselves alive with the smoke. It is chunking right now. Agon with full booster up, trying to counter that blue zone damage. But the damage that these guys really have to watch out for is that of Deuce, because they are not leaving. They want these kill points.
They have to pull it off quick, because as phase 4 is about to pop up, it could leave them much further away from the circle. And it does center up quite nicely on top of Mega Power once again. It's why I did highlight the lateral area hills so confidently in this phase 2. AKM shots from Beg for Mercy will find himself getting knocked down. Andy looking to do what he can to heal up, but Daddy off the back of getting a couple of shots off will pull off a first aid, and that's going to be the end of the Noisy Boys. Finally, Deuce pulls something off in their first 4 games. It only took them 3 games to do it, but 5 kills is good.
Yeah, 5 kills. Make that 6 kills. Could have been 7, but that other
zona, tati, trebuie să fugi.
It seems like
Pleacă în 14 secunde următoarea zonă, nu mai sta.
Is to get into some engagements. They started off the map doing a hot drop fight, I believe, in the power plant. They won that one out, and then they won this one against the Noisy Boys. But the blue zone, hey, I think Papa Blue is going to claim their lives now after this one. The Gangster, last player from the Gangster, Rupee in a 1v1. The gun switch. Oh. I did not realize it was a 1v1. For the last 2 teams that lost their hot shot, they somehow managed to
bate zona, îl 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 bate zona. Ba, mă, cât noroc, băi, nu pot să cred. Chiar că ok. Băi, cât noroc pe băiețașul ăla să moară 2-3 inși.
But at least 2 out of 3 games isn't too bad. This game continues, 13 teams left, 38 players alive. 4 Romanian boys, they moved away from one team. The circle centered up. They're still in the circle, but they're very close to all rejection gaming. Just a little bit of a hillside dividing these 2 teams. One thing 4 Romanian boys need to be aware of is that new names is on that western edge of circle line, and they could get third parties.
Yeah, the third parties with so many sprawling hilltops in front of these teams can easily
are NT-ul sus acolo. Haide că poate să stau bine NT-ul acolo. Noi nu jucăm acum, șefule. Ne-am jucat ieri, noi mâine mai jucăm. Mamă, sunt sus alea echipele alea, nu mai pot să mai miște ele, mă jur.
200-300 meters away that could take free shots on them. This is why Miramar is one of the most difficult, complex maps to play.
By the way, I was meant to say new names, not new team. My apologies. That was a little bit of a F from my side. All Rejection Gaming, they've held on to this.
Ne-a scos kill-uri, am avut 19 kill-uri.
It feels like they've kind of relied on the buildings.
Iau pe ea în dreapta, iau pe ăștia în față, iau pe ea sus pe munte, mai au alții sus pe munte, nu știu ce să zic de meciul ăsta la 4
Romanian boys to sweep a little bit closer to this vicinity. As Mega Power, one of their players is not defeaters, pushing in, led by the man, the myth, the legend, Savage X, Alicio as well in the front line. Whiskey, he's a young-blooded talent, played for Destiny in the PMPL Spring Split, and now looking to once again make it with the feeders in his
casele de acolo dumnezeiști.
Of course, with the opening, they do still have 3 players, not yet able to really find the full engagement onto Mega Powers.
Yeah, and the new circle shift came out. Actually, I think that kind of gives Mega Power a break. Right when that circle pop, you saw the defeaters
dacă se duce tot în față, e bine pentru ei.
TSC-ul
s-a dus acasă, da.
They're just gonna hold their side. Mega Power does get a chance to get a full reset, but do they get that full reset in time as TSC, the Pajama team, crashed in, launches with the Uzi, taking some shots, putting some damage in. 2 of the players from Pajamas running into the building, recover, and now it is a 4v4 situation. I do expect some util to come out, and yes, teams are
asta e, uite, unii au noroc de zonă, alții trebuie să rotească.
Knock on the Quashi. Bananas and Pajamas are walking into the fight of their lives, and 3 of their players are down. First is left on his own, but he's able to pull something out of the bag. Has pulled out, of course, 2 knocks for himself, but it's a 1v2 right in the front. Rex in the back now. They look to join up together inside the building. Right gets a 1v1, and down goes TSC in Pajamas.
Băi, că noroc are mega power ăștia. Băi, dacă am mai văzut așa noroc pe ăștia, mă, să moară 2-3.
Close enough. I respect the fast aggression push, though. It did almost catch mega power on a timing before they could readjust their position.
La familia din spate, PNT.
Teams, they are still adjusting their angles, adjusting their positions as teams are caught on the edge, fighting three-way fights left, right, and center all around the map.
Night Target, another team that
had
bad performances in the first two games, are in the top 9. Nothing really massive to show from a kill standpoint. They're going to be in this fight with last fight have got to consider that there's another team down the south of them. I don't think they can really get major shots on them as Wix with a beautiful nade. Get a knock onto Wild alone. Siku, Chirie, pushing together, wanting to really control their side of the circle. Take down Night Target. Wild alone is not confirmed, so still able to give over a little bit of information to his teammates.
Their grenades alone are pressing team Night Target back and back, further and further into a corner as last fight just having their way with the terrain right now. Next circle is about to come out though. Both three of these teams are on the edge, and that circle shift, oh, that's gonna cause a lot of teams to condense on Mega Power. Members now.
That's good for four Romanian boys, by the way. They took down new names on the western edge, and they have a clear side in front of them. But this fight is still breaking out between last fight and Team Night Target. Another one of Team Night Target.
Dați un like, vă rog frumos.
So it's just Exile and Aimbot on board. Now, Aimbot with his experience should be able to pull something out, but an MK14, it sounds so good, and it looks even better when you get a clean, single tap-to-tap headshots on board. Mega Powers still in the mix. They hold that eastern edge of the circle as a three-man team, but will they be able to deal with an onslaught of last fight of Team Night Target, of all rejection gaming, coming so much closer to their buildings?
After they push it out, Night Target, and they're pushing on to Mega Power, it seems right now. That MK is going to come in huge when it's set on auto, and here it comes. They catch one of Mega Power, not looking the right way. He was not prepared for the backstab, and now it's just down to one Mega Power. Last fight, definitely having their way with this one, and they got the MK on full auto for the close range. It is absolutely
mai avem Zan până ne jucăm. De-abia duminică știm ce se întâmplă. Se fac schimbări radicale aici.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer he's going to survive moving away, doing what he can. 7 teams left up. Just to point out, across the two days so far, we've yet to have a team get 2 chicken dinners. 4 Romanian boys certainly have that in their sights as they still have a full squad up, sweeping through the west down to the south. Sorry for skill, Besso's knocked down. Doing a great job of cleaning that one up. Last fight, 8 kills so far in this game. A deserving Miramar result, despite what happens in the final moments of this game. Savage X taken out inside the Shack of Doom as we 5 teams left.
They are chunking the util into here. Fellow guy finding a corner of safe haven away from the grenades, away from the Molotovs. Does manage to secure himself a top 5 finish at the very least, but here it comes. He's cooking the grenade, throws it out. Oh, gets one. He could get this one. Close, but no cigar right there.
Yeah, close, but no cigar indeed. It was a good pre-nade to get a knock. That will allow, sorry for skill, to get a little bit closer, but Sportsman is knocked down. Kalu Animal is there on his own. 4 Romanian boys gonna clean that one up, with our 2 remaining teams. 4 Romanian boys in last fight. The low ground, the circle is in the favor of 4 Romanian boys. They have the peaks, they have the circle, but they're not taking it for granted. They send one on the other edge of the circle. Wix looking to really suppress last fight. That really shuts down any kind of opening for last fight to sweep their way into the edge of the circle.
Yeah, right now, for Romanian boys with the angles, with the advantage as they have circle. Last fight, what they need to do right now is not take shots.
Nu mai are nicio șansă, câștigă 4 LB-ul.
They can from all the bodies laying around and really smoke everything up. Throw down the grenades because
Bine, zona e
boys, we are
TS4.
not going to give you a free knock by challenging unnecessary, but they are pressing down. First knock shots goes through, does not get it, and it's a trade. Now it's down to a 3v3 situation.
I saw what last fight we're trying to do, get the knock onto Redox in the back line.
Stau bine, nu mai am nicio șansă, a câștigat 4 LB-ul. GG la băieți.
Absolutely nothing. 4 Romanian boys, they got one in game 1. They come out and they are the first team to get 2 chicken dinners in a row, executing Miramar.
Well done. Miramar, the map that requires the highest of skills, and of course, none other than the 4 Romanian boys, really showing that they got the skill and what it takes. It is the first team in Pmco so far to secure themselves 2 chicken dinners, and we still got 1 match left. And I saw how well they did.
Au noroc să mor eu. Bine rău, mă jur, bine rău, copii.
You give them some decent circles.
Să uitați un like, mă ajută mult. Bine rău să mor eu. Știam că e meciul ăla, acum am dat zona aia, ce să mai facă? Nu știu, Florin, nu știu.
Ridiculously impressed with how confident and competent they look as a team in this lobby.
Bine rău, băieți, chiar bine, aici să le
give
zici.
them an inch and they're taking a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, and even the small little decision making in that game, for example, and you said it, instead of directly moving away from new names, they took a couple of shots.
Da, s-a bătut acolo cu ăia din nu mai știu ce echipă, i-a bătut pe aia, i-a prins bine rău, bă, n-ai ce să le zici, bine rău, băieți. Chiar n-ai ce să le zici, sunt buni. Chiar da, n-ai ce să le zici, chiar sunt buni.
Take down new names. They didn't push too heavily onto all rejection, and from there,
bă, nu știu ce să zic de român, dar vedem. Ce se întâmplă? Mai e un meci.
Result for them. Like honestly, I would argue the most impressive team of.
Doamne ajută să fie numai români. Ar fi bine. Toate echipele alea, o echipă tot trece mai departe. Și ce zic de români?
I like that you highlighted the fight.
Da, joacă bine, n-ai ce să le zici.
That's probably one skill set that even top teams
joacă bine rău, au jucat bine rău copiii, să mor eu.
They just try to.
Nu, viața mea, mai e un meci, vreau să mă uit.
And then the other team behind them just shoots them in the back. So instead, you bring the
da, am avut ghinion aseară, viața mea, rău de tot, n-ai nicio problemă. Mâine e altă zi.
The pressure backs them off. Now they have a safer rotation. That is such a hard call to make too, because when that circle pops,
nu știu când joacă copiii împreună, dar cred că au ceva timp, că au jucat, ții minte și la ESL, nu? Cât timp au împreună, Dexter? Au mai bine de jumătate de an copiii. Eu 2 luni ce pula mea să fac cu băieți.
As we look into the match ranking and see how these teams done from a point standpoint in that Miramar game, let's not forget last fight had a fantastic game.
După meci că joc la schimb și după aia ies, mă pun la son.
Second place, considering compared to 4 Romanian boys, they had to deal with a lot more teams.
S-a schimbat?
I could kind of argue that
știu că am jucat la ESL acum mult timp, de aia zic.
Better than 4 Romanian boys chicken dinner.
They had to fight multiple teams on multiple chaotic fronts due to the position they put themselves in, right? For Romanian boys, they kind of just took more decisive fights. So they kind of cleared out what section they wanted to control. Last fight, they just really did what the team needed. They fought to the very last fight. They fought everybody on the way through.
Nu, locul 2, știu că locul 2 au luat băieții.
Only 3 points shy of the chicken dinner team. Sorry for skill getting a pretty good game. It looks like they're bouncing back quite a bit. Mega power, no chicken dinner this time. But that consistency really shone through right there with 14 points.
Nu, e echipă românească.
I think kind of defeaters lost the most in those final 3 to 4 circles, because remember they were looking to engage and they even got a knock onto one of the mega powers players, but then when the circle shifted and they backed off, which I agree was the right call at the time, they didn't really back off to then control everything else around them. they just backed off, and then they
Team
got
1-2-1-8 a luat locul 1,
they
știu,
got
și e locul 2.
taken out one by one, and they left with a solo. They couldn't do much, and it meant that
Narcose,
they only
ce
got
zici,
6
băi?
points.
Yeah, the defeaters though, they did well as we move on to the second half of the page. Now these are the teams that really struggled on Miramar. Actually, Deuce Gaming,
Bravo lor, mă, ce
0
treabă am eu,
placement
ești nebun.
points, but we saw them pick up the points all throughout the match, fighting their way through. 6 points. That is actually pretty good.
Da, boia, n-au
Deuce
făcut
Gaming
nimic, o
need
să mor eu.
more of these though, and probably sprinkle in some placement points to really make up for the first two games that they missed out on.
În 4 RB ăștia sunt 4...
At the bottom there,
Erau 4 RM fără omeni amenzi.
I think this Miramar game really shows Rex's weakness. I think they lost.
Eram pe 11 după 2 meciuri, acum nu știu, cred că a mai scăzut, sigur a mai scăzut.
Towards the end, when the two last players,
dacă suntem top 16 e bine, nu e
from their
problemă.
scrap teams that both got taken out in the hot drop fights, and Rex again loses a close range fight. So I would say hit the TDM room, work on the mechanics, and this Rex team will be better than ever.
Yeah, and look, that's okay, because at least knowing a weakness, you can fix it. But when you're struggling, or you struggle in the game and you don't know where that weakness is, that's obviously something that can be a little bit more of a fear or worry. So I'm not too kind of worried about Rexpect. At least they know where they stand.
Yeah, they do know where they stand. And maybe while we go to this break, they can have a little discussion, maybe figure out like, hey, our close range needs work, guys. And maybe they'll come back even stronger in the last and final match of Erangel.
Eu în finală nu mă mai interesează, mă, în finală nimic. Mâine să fac treabă, atâta. Și în finală nu mă interesează ce se întâmplă. În finală, zona, n-avem zona, ne-am dus, ne-am dat crash în echipă. Ori murim, ori îi batem. În finală n-avem ce să pierdem. Acum să mă duc în finală, dar în finală n-am ce să pierd. Nu e bun deloc Redmi ăsta, mă. Nu fac griji, mă, de finală, ești nebun. Mai e un meci. Ai... Da, dacă te califici în finală, la nu ai invitație. Erangel. Da, e bun, Redmi, să faci plătite cu el, adevărat. Am 29 de puncte. Ne-a mers rău de tot ieri. Ne-a mers rău zonele, 3 meciuri. Ultimul meci a venit QA-ul ăia direct pe noi. Ne băteam cu 2 squaduri, eram împărțiți. Pentru mine nu e un telefon bun, dar iPhone-ul rămâne cel mai bun. Cam așa, nu mai știu să mor. Nu, n-am avut deloc de zonă ieri. Chinezii ăia o să fie Panda 2, să mor eu. Băgam și până rasa lor de chinezi. Ce joacă ei pe Europa nu știu. Da, mi-au 13 Pro Max. Chiar dacă n-are 90 de FPS-uri trebuie să-mi schimb telefonul. E bun spiritul ăla, mă, nu e greu. N-ai frică. Mi-au iPhone, mă. Nu vreau ROG Phone, că nu-mi place. M-am uitat ieri la zonă, cu aia, pe altă zonă, mamă, ce noroc de zonă am avut un pic.
One more game to go in day 2 of the EU Pmco Ball Split 2021. So many words to say. Let's get right into the overall standings. You don't want to look at our phases. You want to see where these teams lie, what we're looking at coming into the final game of the day.
Yeah, so we're back to the leaderboards. This is a combined leaderboard of yesterday and today's teams. We have 32 teams in total, and you see it here and now. 4 Romanian boys with 1 game left to go at 59 points. They can easily overtake Tip Top Esports.
Tip Top pe 1, pe 2 România, La Familia pe 3, Alinu pe 4, FTU pe 5, Mega Power pe 6, Reject Esport pe 9, pe 10 Sorry for Skills, Redmond pe 11, 4 Faker, that fight pe 14, okay.
Also coming in strong, jumping up to 13th. Let's go into the third page to see where these teams lie, because the game's loading in, not to rush things, but we want to see PUBG mobile action. The Noisy Boys, 19th, they need to do better.
Yeah, they definitely need to do better. Not the worst though, so to say.
De pe 14 în 3 meciuri, e bine. Dacă rămâne în top 16, e bine. La ghinionul de ieri e super.
32 teams. There is a lot of teams in this stage of the game. You're not just competing against the lobby. You're competing against 2 other groups of players. And here you see the teams that really need to pick it up. The teams with 3 matches done, this is their last one for the day.
Yeah, you need to pick things up when you're at the bottom of the standings, just like you need to pick up
the Xiaomi
Note 10 5G, where you can enjoy super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on their powerful flagship Redmi Note 10 5G, the wonderful sponsors of the Pmco EU West. We're going back over to Erangel for the final game of the day. It was nice to see Night Target get a little bit of a better
4 locuri sunt la diferență de 4 kill de noi. La un kill. Locul 10 e la diferență de 7 puncte, nu e.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And for Romanian boys, this is the game to see if they could take number 1 overall.
GL1 nu mai știu pe ce loc e. Da, 100 pe 21, 15 puncte a făcut ieri.
They only had 2 tricycles in the first Erangel game.
9 echipe sunt în
România. I believe if they get vehicles this time around, they're going to have a much better game. So let's head into the action. Let's head into Erangel as we load into the plane and see where these players are popping off.
It's not a tricycle, it's a plane. The path is in. It's going from the southeast over to more of a direct western
15 puncte dacă facem primul meci, te-ai dus direct top 5. Dacă facem 15 puncte, deja te-ai dus top 5. Nu e bravo. Sunt curios cine sare pe spoturile mele, ca să fiu atent mâine.
There could be more traffic in front of them as they look to get into the mainland, presuming it's a mainland phase 1.
Speaking of traffic, there might even be 2 teams dropping in Novo by the looks of it. The last game on Erangel, the playing path didn't really allow for any teams to be on Novo. So the Noisy Boys gotta be wary of potential bridge campers or teams rotating on buy. Rex taking Novo and not getting contested. The gangsters are stretching way far out towards Milta Power. And the teams, even though this plane path not the best, it looks like they're all splitting up pretty evenly. Of course, Pecado claimed by Mega Power.
Deci numai unul de la Golden Chef. Dacă sărim 2 acolo, îl ardem pe la primul. Deci știu, s-ar și aproape de noi, sunt 2 acolo.
Normal first circle right there.
Areți la cheme. Areți și la... Deci unul e la cheme, ba nu, își dă la follow.
A good 2/3 of the military island.
Aici e feripierii sau? Ba nu, nu sare nimeni la feripierii la mine, deci pot să mai am unul cu mine. Te share-ul sar 2 acolo de sare Redix.
Open that kind of northern half of the circle for some beautiful rotations. I'm looking at last fight. Sorry for skill defeaters. They need to recognize that their western position can be beautifully executed on the rotation.
Gata, am făcut planul pe mâine. Legerianu.
The Roshawk Bridge, Yasnaya Bridge, and kind of even in through Mansion.
Nu vreau să pierd om din prima aia.
But they are pretty far from the center of the circle, so I imagine what they should do.
Am 4, Robi, 4. Vrei să le
but kind of prioritize the majority of the rotation for that second circle shift, because the second circle shift, it might
even go au acolo 2, fac unul cu mine, unul acolo și unul în partea cealaltă și am rezolvat-o rapid.
The first circle center is nice, but very rarely does one rotation in the first circle get you the win. I mean, Tip Top did it, but even that was a very rare sight to, even that was a very rare sight to behold. But for now, all the teams are looting up, no hot drops to be had, and does Mega Power have more than 2 tricycles to rotate with? That's the big question right now.
Nu știu dacă ai voie să dai finish cu Pumni, dar mi se pare că nu.
They do. 4 Romanian boys once again going for that split drop around the Gaka region. I was a little bit worried because there could be a higher chance of teams dropping around them, but they've been able to get away with it. There is on that western coastline, you have kind of Dab Esports and Team Night Target. And down in Primorsk, you have the side of Golden. So for Romanian boys, I think it's a little bit more important that they prioritize joining together as a full squad to rotate deeper into phase 1 circle earlier than that win that we had in game 1.
Yeah, they did lose a player in game 1, but maybe that's the trick.
Nu mă interesează, nu, da. E urât să dai oricum cu Pumni.
So, Redox can just go huge and pick up another 11 kill game in this Erangel zone. And hey, the place that they won the Erangel map in game 1, it's in zone. It might just end there again.
That's true. True, man. Hey, look, you know, stranger things have happened, man. Stranger things have happened.
And you were talking about the split that 4 Romanian boys do. For the viewers that are watching, if you didn't know, last year's champions of PMGC, Nova Esports, they have the same exact split drop across GACA. So 4 Romanian boys doing the same loot rotation and loot rotation after the circle shifts as the Nova boys probably.
Do they still have that split rotation in Erangel now in this year's Chinese League? Or have they switched it up?
Nova. Actually, this season Nova might have switched it up a little bit. I do see them using that split drop in Gatka still when the plane path requires them to do it. So the split drop is really strong. If the last year's PMGC team
nu dau codul la controlare, îmi pare rău.
Win a championship off of Erangel doing this split drop, the loot there is ample enough for a team to close out a game. And you see one player right there, level 3 vest. He's got the med kits. He's got the DP. And Redox, the 11 kill fragger from game number 1, just maybe waiting for somebody to pick him up as he's chilling here on the edge of zone.
Probably is the case. Wix picking up one of his teammates first. Teams are starting to rotate into this phase 1 circle. Mega Power going for an early rotation up Potato Hill, so that's a good start for them in this phase 1. All rejection once again, like game 1, committing a little bit to that apartment area, but they do have one player that's in a compound to the north of apartment, so I can appreciate that. Deuce, they opted not to go to Pubg, by the way, because of how far it was away from that plane path, which I respect. Good adaptation. But for now, they still have a bit of a kind of wide split, which worries me because, again, with teams starting to rotate in through this phase 1, there's a chance they could get caught out.
Yeah, I see the split that Deuce is holding, but speaking about Deuce, we got another fight breaking out between 4 Romanian boys. This was the split earlier, and it finally might be biting down in the butt as they... Yeah, they lose one player early on again, but Redox is alive, so maybe we'll get a repeat of what happened in game 1.
Nu știu ce doar o echipă, e aiurea rău.
One of those things where there's a reason why and I'm not saying I'm always right, but there's a reason why I said
că vor să scoată double.
There's a reason why I highlighted they should prioritize joining
up together. Dacă stai aici la containerul ăsta e grav. Deci dacă ăsta stă nemișcat aici la container e grav pentru ei.
Kind of the western side of the map is a little bit optional for a few of these teams. There's a much bigger chance that a team is going to be close by. But as Redox steps up,
bă, dar ce-a făcut-o și ăsta, mă.
Hai că-i 3v3. Like he's going for a Sunday jog, gets taken out. Dab, what are you doing? We're left with a 3v3.
Mamă, ce bine s-a poziționat ăsta aici.
That was the freest of free kills for Redox. If that's how he's getting his 11 kills, I am quite jealous, to say the least.
Oh, bine.
Oh, the headshot!
Oh my god!
That head's peeking out a little bit too much, and Dad's, it's happening. Maybe they're getting that chicken dinner with 14 kills again, just because they lose that player early on.
Spot și între băieți.
Like, look, don't get me wrong, solid turnaround by 4 Romanian boys, but I'm left wondering why Maskov opted to stay on the roof of the building if his 2 teammates essentially backed off to a more supporting position. He would have been better off going back down onto the ground, holding the side of the building while his teammates essentially found a bit better of a starting point to support him. But now 4 Romanian boys, they're a little bit angry. They're, you know, they want a bit more revenge. And Redox, he takes the shots off, nearly finds a knock. Not quite, but there's still one more player, Dab, inside that building.
Yeah, Slobs hasn't made a sound. I don't think Redox is aware of that guy's position. As the buggy did leave, they pick up the confirm. Slobs just shaking right now, not wanting to make a noise. Oh, he's actually gonna pop out.
That was it. Hai să vedem ce face Redox.
Look at Redox's reaction. The second the footstep audios come through, Redox is back out the car, ready to take the fight, and now it's a utility fight. Redox and Slobs with the grenades.
Lovely.
Redox almost goes down. The blue zone is also ticking in this fight.
Yeah, I thought the play zone might get the better of them. Couldn't pull off a bandage in time. So Bride is forced to throw a molly, throw a nade, throw a smoke, and then get the revive. So good reaction from Bride. Whereas the third player from 4 Romanian boys, finally he comes to join suit. By the way, phase 2 popped up. It centralized quite nicely. Still a tiny bit of that military island in play, but not enough. Wix will get the knock on the Slobos.
Slobos kind of just left for dead. I kind of wanted to see his teammates stay around to maybe come in from a different angle that 4 Romanian boys weren't ready for. Because at this point in the game, if you're going to be a solo player with 16 teams left alive, chances of placement points are not high. But the Noisy boys going in for a fight themselves.
Trebuie să rezisti asta aici sus.
Night Target have a few on the roof. That's not bad. Baz wild alone, get a knock on the Mazzaro. You have Andy returning suit.
Băi, cât ghinion are, băi, și neteu ăștia cu noi, mă.
With him and Beg for Mercy as the 2 players.
Îl știe și îl ține ăla acolo.
Doing a wonderful job, but he's left on his own. Nice molly.
Dă-te, bă, dracu, bă, dar ce ghinion au și băieții ăștia de la Team Night Target. Băi, dă-l morții lui de joc, bă, că... Ia mă, aici păzește, mă. Bă, dar unii au atât noroc, alții n-au deloc noroc, mă, să mor eu dacă te mint. Și cred că mai sunt și 4 bulangii. Da. Bă, dau un ghinion fantastic, băi, să moară.
Okay, even better.
Oh, că mă ia nervii să moare Jana.
Confident push out of Noisy Boys. They kind of just, it looked like they drove right in with no scouting, but based on the way they took that engagement and how decisive it was,
exact ca noi, au un
I
ghinion
believe that was a
fantastic, bă,
planned
săraci,
push.
bă,
That
să
was
moară.
probably
Fu,
a
băga
most
mișto.
likely practiced execution play that they've done in scrims, so it works out extremely
Mamă,
well
ce
for them,
nervi mi-a
picking
luat.
up
Mamă,
four
dar ce
easy
maxi mi-a
kill
luat.
points.
We didn't see the lead up, but I would
Să nu uitați de un like și un share, mă ajută
a
mult.
little bit scouting, got information before they got to push. The feeders, Mega Power, in towards Potato Hill.
Toți bulanghii au noroc, nu mă uite știu.
Mega Power have a wonderful spread, but maybe
dus mi-a dus țigări că m-a luat nervii.
Then again, so are the feeders. You have
Bă, mai merge live-ul că nu mai știu nimic.
To the left or to the right, they're all
Bă, mai merge chat-ul ăla.
kind of one line as the next phase.
Echipa mea e pe 14 până acum. E bine, e bine. Dacă după prima zi e pe 14, după a doua zi pe 14, vedem meciul ăsta ce se întâmplă.
Just straight down the middle and the low ground of farm, but there's a lot of buildings on the farm side. And then to the north, pretty familiar. That's where the game ended on match number 1. The circle could go
Ghinion a avut și ăștia, mă, să bag
there
pula.
is no clear power position in this zone because the terrain level difference between north and south and down the middle is so drastic. We'll just have to see how these teams manage as shoot for skill or sorry for skill, rotating by in the buggies, hoping none of them gets knocked out, driving
Dar nu se vestimează nimeni pe nimeni, mă, eu mă refer de altceva aici. Cât ghinion am unii români.
Got the momentum, plus the fact that they're all rotating very close to each other.
Se ciudă mii de ăștia de nete.
Rotate with 4 separate vehicles, you want to kind of be together because there's less focus, less priority on one specific vehicle. So that's really good rotation for sorry for skill.
Yeah, definitely. Staying close is always good. When you're shooting at a car driving by, if there's 4 of them and you tell your teammates, shoot the buggy, and there's 4 buggies, which one do they focus on? Right?
Exactly.
So it definitely helps. And I'll tell you what, it's not a tricycle driving by. If they drove by in 4 tricycles, they're all dead. And I'm only making that joke because Mega Power was stuck with tricycles in the first game.
Dude, I'm not liking how you're picking on the tricycle, man. You're bullying the tricycles have feelings too, bro.
They might have feelings, but they're not good for you, man. They're not good for. Stay away from tricycles.
You know what?
Don't fall for it.
Dude,
don't fall for it.
I'm gonna find a model tricycle and I'm gonna post it to you, dude. Okay? Promise.
Oh, mă, stai cu minte.
I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna find a model tricycle and I'm gonna send it to you. You know? Because you need to appreciate the love of a tricycle.
I do not. I will pass on that one.
Right now,
there's a lot of knocks going on in the kill feed, but all the teams are pretty much set up. So these knocks, if anything, are just long-range engagements. Good for gathering info on where teams are positioned, but no hard pushes or anything as of yet, because the circle we're about to go into the very next shift.
Yeah, Mega Power is staying where they are, but I would argue pushing a little bit back away from the feeders. I don't disagree. 4 Romanian boys seem to be heading more towards Golden Sport, but they opt to move a little bit more north. We have a centralized phase 4 shift. I was looking at the previous circle and I think that was one of the best compounds to hold on to. Last fight went there and their circle shifted in that direction.
Yeah, this circle, this is a very difficult circle. Not much hard cover. You just have some shacks sprinkled out, some rocks and trees sprinkled out. This is going to be a difficult one to navigate for all of these teams as 4 Romanian boys coming in. Wix crashes into the rock and gets taken out. The 4 Romanian boys down to 2 Romanian boys in a smoking car.
Yeah, phase 4. That's where the action really starts to kick off. A lot of teams being put under a bit of pressure. The Gangsters X probably came out of that the best because they were able to take shots without having a player knocked. 1 kill so far for the Gangsters X. Secured by Rupee inside the shack, using that third-person perspective to get information onto the Noisy Boys who are up the hill to the north. Golden Sport going for a similar push into the edge of the circle, while we're expecting the kill feed, taking the fight against MDC.
The Gangsters continuing to hold a split defense down here with the shacks. This could work out really well or really bad. The player on the edges of the defense really need to put out enough pressure to force the team to focus on the other teams behind them. But if he doesn't put enough pressure, Rupee might just get knocked, and he thinks better of it, gets in his car, and you see him rotating right up there to the rest of his team. Now the Noisy Boys and Golden caught on the edge side of one another.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult because that kind of roadside doesn't really provide too much cover. You're low-key reliant on the shack and a sniper tower and maybe whatever vehicles you have on board. Utility can make a big difference in controlling this kind of team fight. That's why both teams are chucking out the nades, chucking out the mollies. But let's see if he can tether that through the window. Slightly comes in, boom, that knock is taken down, but it was actually secured by the Gangsters X, which Golden Sport will push on in.
Wow, great pre-fire angle awareness right there. He was watching the Wizard Tower the whole time, knowing Team Golden was going to try and make use of that position and gets a clean knock. That might have just saved them the fight, as Golden now have 2 knocked, and both teams scrambling to take advantage of one another.
Mazzaro in the back line. Wandu gets out of the vehicle, has to prone down inside the smoke. You still have another player of the Noisy Boys alive. Agon did go for the revive, which I low-key agree, but a massive risk was undertaken inside that shack. That's a beautifully placed molly. He's going to send them back behind the smoke once more. Separates him. Grillo's knocked down, and is Wando with the third party taken out, and Golden Sport are eliminated.
That was beautifully done by the Noisy Boys. I love the hustle. You saw all 4 players take multiple angles, move multiple positions. That showed experience right there, the way they handled that team fight so clean. This hard shift up to the north. There is almost nowhere to play in that circle. And wait, this is the same circle as game number 1, pretty much.
It's a very similar circle. Yeah, because sorry for skill are in a similar position to where they had in the first Wrangle game of the day. Mega Power are in a fantastic spot, but so are last fight. Deuce still up as a full squad, are wrapping around to look to enter onto the east, while there's still a cluster of teams on the south side of the map outside the circle.
Mega Power this circle
here, yeah. I cannot imagine what's going through these players' minds, but the Gangster X, they got other things to worry about, as Rex pushing up close. This is another close range fight for Rex. They're already down 1 player. It's a 2v4. The numbers are against them, the angles are against them, and Rex is about to be finished out right here. Rex go out in 13th place to the Gangsters, and Gangsters with 6 kills. Last fight, taking a fight of their own against Deuce at the compound. Deuce pressing in close, grenades are coming through. But can they hold this one down, as Deuce has 2 players further back?
Man, this is such a hard compound to crash because you have the wall, you have numerous amount of buildings, a lot of windows that you can defend that area from, and it really requires a massive opening knock or 2 for you to get the better of, and that's why Deuce are down to just 1. The daddy, last one standing, actually, no, I speak too soon. He's been taken out of here. Sayonara, konnichiwa. 10 teams left, 30 players alive. Last fight, 4 kills already, while sorry for skill still holding onto northern edge of the circle.
The northern edge looking very comfortable for them as there's no teams around them due to that hardship. Nobody was expecting the circle to be so far north. And now the chaos continues as the last few teams try to rotate in. That's the Noisy Boys right there breaching on in, but 4 Romanian boys stay alive and the Molotovs are coming through. Bright is looking super bright and on fire, and he goes down.
And Mr. Brightside goes down onto his knees and then leaves Redox left on his own. Gotta say, he's done a wonderful job of trying to slide into the game. Phase 6 about to hit our screens. There's a road in the middle of the circle, but it does shift over to the west where Mega Power are entailing in the center of the circle, but I think there's a lot more pressure around this time around. Sorry for Skill, gonna have to time the rotation into the edge of the circle very confidently.
Mega Power, it does look like they're surrounded, but they're on the low ground in a way that it's so low that all the teams above them are going to be fighting another, just like you see right here, All Rejects and Gaming taking shots at the Noisy Boys. And we have only 15 seconds left, Imperium, until this circle starts closing and forces all of these teams to condense even more.
Yeah, but behind, look at that. 2 players in Mega Powers have been knocked down. They just don't have the area of cover. So as much as, yes, they are protected from teams above them, in the other vicinities, they are being put under pressure. New name, new day, new game. They get a player knocked down, but they are, of course, still into the top 8. Last fight still is a full squad. I really like that they have 2 across the road, 2 on the other side of the road. A lovely spread this out, but the push comes in. Sorry for Skill. Do what they can. They take out Mega Power, but they are getting third-partied in amongst the smokes. They hold themselves down. CLW, but that was a desperate attempt worked out from Sorry for Skill, and I loved to see it.
The decisiveness was there and it worked. It helped. That last fight was also softening up the Mega Power team. That is Mega Power out, even though they held that position in circle. So it wasn't the high ground that they needed to worry about. You were indeed correct. It was all the other angles.
New name, player confirmed up and puts them down to, I believe, to the Gangsters X. Running across the road, bad boy, dodging. They've been diving, dodging around, weaving all around the place. Is able to survive by the skin of his teeth. Huddles prone down behind a tree, but there's so many shots in his direction. He does get tickled just a little bit. Still, last fight, they have the full squad up. They were close to the chicken dinner. The last game, can they secure it? This game as the Noisy Boys go out. We're into our final 5 teams as we lose Dab Esports as well.
Gangster X is the last player, and he has to run across the road in the open, and that is another team out. We're down to the 4 teams, All Rejection Gaming, Sorry for Skill, New Names, and Last Fight. Last Fight had 4 players alive, and so does All Rejection Gaming. The rest are left with just solos.
Very important knock by Last Fight onto Sosa of All Rejection, because that slows them down. They have the spread which they set up 2 circles ago. Yes, it does shift away from them, but the angles are covered. That's nice by King Versi with the DP28. Reki, so much love for Reki. I remember casting him last year in the Pmco spring split when he played with another team with the likes of Kappa Hala. He went away, but now he's back again to prove himself once more with this Last Fight team.
Au jucat bine 2 meciuri băieții de la 4DB.
The Pmco EUS CLW, sorry for Skill, doing what he can to just say, hey, I'm not here, guys, but he steps up, is going to get spotted out. Sushio in the distance behind that vehicle, doesn't want to overstep his mark, while still getting the shots on. 9 players left, and the nade will finish him off.
Last Fight on that push did lose 1 player though, so gives a man advantage to All Rejection Gaming. They have 1 knocked, and the grenades are coming in. They might be able to get a Thurston with those grenades, but New Names about to be.
Oh no!
I spoke too soon. That player was putting up a fight, but Last Fight takes him out. We're into a 4v3 situation in the exact same zone as match number 1.
Yeah, 2v2. King Versi has to push back Last Fight. I don't think it's going to be a case of Getting traded up. King Versi goes down.
1v1.
Oh, rejection has just Bobby left
1v1.
on his own, but so does last fight. It's a 1v1. The revive onto Bobby. He has a new gun that to grab from a crate, so that hopefully she'll pull something massive off. But both teams are getting their respective revives instantly separated away from his teammate. Cooking up a nade. Susho doing what he can to heal up, but he's too close away. You've got to move away. That is your mistake, Sushio. You gotta think one step ahead, and that could be the fight turned in the tides of all rejection. Three-man team. Sarah is looking to get the revive once again onto Sushio, but they have control. 1, 2, Uniflu. Sarah is left on his own. The knock comes in. The kill confirmed. That is a chicken dinner for all rejection gaming.
All rejection gaming.
Să nu uitați de un like, vă rog eu, mă ajută mult.
It was trades back and forth. It went down to
Da, e ultimul meci, vedem clasamentul acum.
But you're absolutely right. That revive was good, but he stayed in the same area where they got knocked, so the grenade is obviously going to come there again. And I think that really turned the tide of the fight. But all rejection gaming with the man advantage and with the high
Imediat să
ground
vedem clasamentul, să vedem pe ce loc suntem.
well.
Dacă suntem top 16, e perfect.
They almost won that one. It came down to that 1v1.
Yeah, I would say like both of those teams performed really well. I thought rejection was maybe a little bit too risky, staying on the top of the hill where they allowed last fight to get maybe a little bit too close to the ridge side. But credit where it's due, they were confident in that position. They used it to their advantage. They picked off a couple of solos, and when it came to that last fight, Bobby was a master of that one. The second he got the revive, he moved away, cooked up a nade. That's big brain. That is very instinctive, strong play from himself.
Hai să vedem clasamentul, să vedem. Dacă suntem pe locul până pe 16, să nu coborâm sub 16, e perfect. Că mâine urcăm. Mâine vreau să atac top 8 și suntem...
So this gives everyone a good idea of what team is on top and what teams are in the middle.
Hai să vedem acum.
Teams are really struggling.
De 18, mamă, e prost. Dacă sunt 18-20, nu e bine. Fără România a mers pe primul loc, Tip-Top-ul pe locul 2, La Familia locul 3, QLA pe 4, Lice 5 pe 5, Sorry for Skills pe 6, Mega Power pe 7, FTU pe 8. Mâine la ora 6 România jucăm noi.
However, the kind of caveat, definitely a little bit more inconsistency.
Uite și tu, locul 6 și 7 au 19 kill-uri, dar uite placement-ul lor, noroc. Locul 3 au 21 de kill-uri în pula mea, dar au avut noroc la zonă. Vedeți ce mult înseamnă? Au avut noroc, vezi placement-ul acolo.
You know, I'm not gonna say it's the most worrying thing in the world, but just a seed to plant on how it might go in the rest of the Pmco for 4 Romanian boys.
I definitely agree. Tip-Top over the course of their 4 games look more consistent, but it's hard to judge consistency off.
Nu sunt foarte multe puncte până la locul 4-7. Adică un meci bun și ai ajuns pe locul 6.
Consistent, you know, a team can really prove if they're consistent or not. But La Familia, Chirie,
18 puncte, 20 de puncte dacă fac primul meci, deja sunt pe locul 6.
And the groups that played today in the top 8.
Adică nu e greu.
I think the team I'm impressed with the most from today is last fight.
Normal. Noi am avut noroc de zonă, dar ne-am bătut cu ei. Știi ce zic? Uite, și tu, locul 6 și 7 au doar 19 kill-uri. Și pe 6 și 7, dar au avut placement-ul. Te pup, dacule. Haide pe de următoarea pagină să văd pe ce loc suntem.
To me, they low-key impressed me very heavily.
Yeah, last fight played their last 2 matches very well, and it definitely
avem 19 kill-uri, Alex.
To the top. But let's go on to the second page.
Am avut kill-uri, n-am avut placement. Hai, pe locul 16, bun.
Now we saw the Kingsmen
Și sunt diferențe de 3 puncte și am urcat pe 13. Ai bine, bă, ce ai? 11 puncte, ești locul 11. Da, bun. Deci primul meci, dacă am făcut 15, da, bun. Suntem pe 16, e bine, dacă suntem aici, e bine. Și au jucat toate echipele, din 32 de echipe suntem pe 16. Cu tot cu ghinionul, băgăm și pula. Mâine trebuie să facem treabă bună, neapărat. Suntem pe 16. Și diferența e de 3 puncte până la locul 13, bun. 10 puncte până la 12. 14 puncte și ești locul 9, e bine.
Can leave you in, right? Fantastic start across the first two games and it fell massively by the wayside. New names, I think they had a pretty good ending to the day in 13th, and of course from the
Salut, moderator, e bine, bă, e bine. Cu ghinionul de ieri suntem bine.
Red Moon, they close out the second half of the standings. Let's move on to the third page though and see which teams are maybe sweating a little bit more.
TNB-ul e sub noi la puncte exact cu noi, au 24 de kill-uri și ei n-au placement. Un cale nu e aproape, hai că nu e așa aproape, ăștia au nevoie de meciuri bune. Daos Legion pe 23. E bine locul 16.
You know what that tells me? That tells me that
Daos Legionul pe 23.
No matter what skill level,
Românii,
right, is how you're able
suntem bine,
to
mă bucur. 16.
And secure the kills together as a team. That's where they got the kill points. Placement points, though, I touched on it. These PMCO lobbies, the rotations are a little bit different compared to PMPL and higher lobbies because teams just don't rotate like the higher level teams. Now, I'm not saying it should be easier for the noisy boys in that sense, but it's just different. And it shows they're struggling with their rotations and their placement points because they're not making it together as a team to the end game. But along the way, when they're taking the fights, it is working out.
Yeah, I think unpredictability is a name of the game when it comes to kind of these PMCO lobbies, at least to begin with. So I definitely agree with you there. Defeaters in 20th, I don't think it was really a bad ending for them, but of course they don't want to be on the third page. Let's move on to the fourth page though, and the teams that are 100% sweating coming into
Fast România pe 31, pe 30 Conqueror, pe 25 Night Target, Entropia, Seven Seas, MF-ul, mai de pula mea. For România, boys, sunt pe locul 1.
Yeah, only single digits. What they have to do the next day they play is literally have a show out of a day. I'm talking getting first place for the day. That is what they need to bring up their points because yes, they could bring up their points by getting a really great day, but the teams ahead of them are going to be gaining points themselves. So it's an uphill battle from here on out for all of the teams.
Chiar mă așteptam să mă duc pe 20, 22, 23, 24, 25 chiar.
Through this PMCO group stage, there's still 8 more games to go for each team.
O meciuri de fiecare echipă de acum.
You know, of course, a lot more available for these teams who are down in the bottom to pick themselves up. The teams at the top are definitely looking comfortable, but again, like we saw from La Familia, you know, that consistency across the 4 games is something which I'm really looking out for these teams. I want to know for themselves and for myself that they're able to perform no matter the game, no matter the map, no matter the day.
I 100% agree. And you talked La Familia, they have the consistency and they're up there. On the opposite, I want to just show an example. Rex, right? They had a really good first 2 games. The last 2 fell short, and that really put them down on the leaderboards. But that's just in a day. Yeah. You need that consistency over the course of multiple days. So that's where the...
No, nu sunt despre aici internet. Nu fac, nu, Patrick. E bine. Așteptam la mai rău, dar e bine. Ce să facem proiecte? Ne-am dat la Pmco și acum ne jucăm și noi. Ba mai bine că e, da. Trei am o skill. Love you too. Amjad. Hossein, love you brother. Love you from Romania brother. Don't forget subscribe my channel on YouTube brother. It's NG Blind. NG Blind.
You have my voice, anybody? Hello?
NG Blind bro. It's the blind but put the NG first. NG Blind. NG Blind. Mai era și la acolo, am crezut că e... Da. Nu aici, mă. Te pup, Alex. Nu stau mult, că trebuie să mă odihnesc, să fiu forță mâine. Trebuie să intru, să mă încălzesc, să mă alea. Da, 15 echipe se califică din 16, că Screen Farm e în finală. O să scot, da, o să scot. Imediat după meciul ăsta, așteaptă, te rog.
Dar mai are și automată, fii atent.
Quattro, te pup. Ai și eu 4. Chivule, te pup, ce zici?
mă interesează, bă. Urmărim toți.
Nu joc acum cu nimeni, mă. După Pmco. Salut, vă pup pe toți. Să nu uitați un like și un share, mă ajută mult de tot, da? Vă rog din suflet și din inimă. Bă, mai erau playeri acolo, mă, eu acum mi-am dat seama cu aia, acum am murit în la Valley. Nu dau să tăi, ne pare rău. Băi, cât de bine a tras ăsta pe single. E bine a tras ăla pe single, să-mi va pula. N-am cură la telefonul. Ce bine a tras. Vă pup de like-uri, mulțumesc de 535 de like-uri. Am supărarea că... Nu pot să te ajut, salată, că nu am cum să te ajut. Avea, da, avea ceva la trigger automat, avea de la de apăsat pe el, că prea rapid. N-am de unde viața mea să ajut. Salut Marian, salut toată lumea. A, mă scrie corect subscribe-ul ăla, să spun prin message, Florentino. Mai dai unde ăla ca să pun, scrie și tu subscribe ca lumea. Scrie corect, să pot să pun, să vă spun ăla.
Marked a location.
Bă, ca mici pula. Nu joc eu cu felul, avem și ăsta la de băca, de unde dracu a venit, nu știu. N-am chef să mă joc, vă zic, aștept și eu mâine să mă joc la Pmco. Trebuie aștept să mă joc mâine la Pmco. Da, moderator, prima zi era grea, dacă jucam și noi astăzi, era bine rău, dar noi la prima zi am prins-o, emoții, nebunii, nu-i problemă, suntem pe 16, forță. E bine, suntem bine. Dacă n-am scăzut sub 16, e bine.
Strângeți armăta între picioare și te strâng.
Îi pe mare.
Red Bull, te pup. Trebuie să scot moderatorul pe ăla altul. Gata. Florentino. Ce m-am făcut după kill-ul ăla în loc să-l bat pe ăsta. Te pup, Florentina, vă pup pe toți. Ce că n-ai chef? Nu joc la scrimuri, dar nu joc scrimuri, nu joc. Mai stau puțin, mă duc să văd ieri cum am jucat, să mă uit să văd cum s-a rotit lumea și alea. Și astăzi mă duc să dau așa rapid. Și după aia mă bag la somn. Luiza, ce faci, puiul meu frumos? Te pup, Mirela. Păi n-avem scrimuri azi, că dacă toate echipele au jucat la Pmco și alea, s-au anulat scrimurile, că nu sunt destule echipe. Te love you, cum te simți? Te simți mai bine? Ken, te pup. Mulțumesc de like-uri, vă pup pe toți. Nu, Alexe, de ce să fiu supărat pe tine viața mea? Nu, dar sunt cu Pmco, nu fac live, mă pun la somn și atâta, nu vorbesc, nu nimic, că n-am avut când viața mea. Am văzut mesajul, dar aseară am avut ceva de vorbit cu cineva și n-am mai putut să mai stau, am adormit. Mă pun de vreme la somn, la alea, știi, nu, chiar nu am avut când. Da. Normal. Nu, de ce să fiu supărat pe mine, mă, viața mea, ce ai? Că eu sunt cu Pmco și cu alea și n-am avut când viața mea, dar... Te love you, băie. Da, mă, dar, bă, ce ai, mă, ești nebun? Nimica, băi, sunt cu Pmco, cu asta n-am avut timp. De luni încolo, de marți, n-am mai avut timp, de nimic. De ieri, nu nimic, absolut nimic. Live, antrenament! M-am uitat la meciuri, da, am avut când. Seara am adormit. N-am avut când să mor eu. Te sun după, că nu mai stau mult live, te sun și după aia am treabă și... Gabriela, te pup. Te pup, te love you, te ale. Te sun. Gabriela, te pup, ce zici pe meu? Am contul blocat, am auzit, știu că ai contul blocat. Te pup. Eu salut. Da, mâine dacă avem și noroc de zonă, mâine e ce trebuie.
Cu M24, mă auzi? Chiar te pun pe TikTok.
Pe cine să pui tu pe TikTok, mă, obraznicule?
Da, că ai.
Unde fusegeată? Mă pui pe TikTok, nu? Mă pui pe TikTok, nu? Mă pui pe TikTok, nu? Hai să arăt eu TikTok. Uite cum e pe TikTok, e bine? Mă gândeam și eu. Ce faceți, mă? Camper, tot camper, tot camper. Nu vă mai satură, domnul? Nu vă mai satură, nu? A, stați lobby atunci. Prostăs. Ce prostăs, mă, au venit direct ăștia, mă băgam și pula, erau numai 2. Da, nu am pe contul la skin-uri. N-am chef să mă joc, mă. 170 de like-uri, vă pup și vă mulțumesc din suflet, vă love you. Da, Teo. Mă joc așa, mai stau un pic pe live. După aia mă duc, am de văzut niște meciuri. Te pup, Ștefan, și după aia mă bag la somnică mâine pe meciul. Da, știu, aia e. Știu, Marius, aia e. Ce-o trag în el, eu mor, bă, dă-l morțilui de joc. N-am avut ieri noroc de zonă, numai ultimul meci am avut noroc și nepuțin și ne-au prins multe squaduri. Băi, toate ca toate, mâine am pe Pmco și trebuie să ies, nu mai stau că până mă uit la meciuri, până mă pun la somn, până mai mănânc, mai alea, mai... Știți voi. Alea. Vă pup, vă iubesc pe toți. Mâine începem pe meciul la ora 6 după masa România. Doamne ajută să aveți și noi noroc de zone și să fie bine. Vă pup, vă iubesc pe toți. Domnișor, noapte bună. Poate o să fac și eu un pic de live pe TikTok și atât. Ne auzim, vă pup, vă love you, vă ce vreți voi, vă alea. Nu știu eu care de ce nu-ți merge telefonul. Doamne ajută, mâine să fie bine. Vă pup, da, vă pup pe toți, vă iubesc, vă love you, vă alea.
și-a plecat. A parfums cum mirosea 10 metri după ea. Sună, sună, stai că sună. Zice bună, eu zic bună. Am vorbit să ne vedem seara pe la 10 așa. Și mi-a trimis și location direct de unde stătea. Sună, sună, stai că sună. Zice bună, eu zic bună. Am vorbit să ne vedem seara pe la 10 așa. Și mi-a trimis și location direct de unde stătea. Am ajuns, mi-a deschis ușa. Ce fel arăta păpușa? Lejerie